The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Council Budget Workshop for the Village of Royal Palm Beach. We are, of course, in the Council Chambers in our beautiful Village Hall, and it is Thursday, July the 9th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. So if you all would stand if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Welcome. Glad to see everybody. But we appreciate you all showing up. This evening we are, of course, going to be engaging on one of the most important things that we have to do as a council, and that is prepare the budget for the coming year, 2027. Before we do that, I'm going to ask the Madam Clerk to go ahead and show that all members of the council are present.
Yes, Mayor, I will. Thank you.
And the next thing that we will do is we will open the floor for public comment. But before I do that, let me just make one comment myself, and that is to remind everybody that this evening's workshop is just that. It's a workshop. It's an opportunity for us on the council and any folks that are in here or folks at home to become more informed about the budget as it stands right now and some of the considerations that we have to deal with as we go forward with it, finalizing the budget, which will happen in September. Developing and adopting the budget, as I said, is one of the most important responsibilities that we have as a council, and every budget reflects priorities, and those priorities are priorities that we come up with during our strategic planning session each year. And ultimately, of course, it determines the services that we deliver, the level of service that we deliver. Those planning sessions are really, really important to us, and they work very well as a basis for actually doing the budgeting that we're about to do. We decide about investments like the expansion of the rec center that's currently underway. And of course, we're constantly striving to keep our financial position stable. And these days, that's a little bit more of a challenge than it has been in the past, but we're up to it, I'm sure. So as a council, we continually strive to balance several important responsibilities: maintaining a high quality of service, keeping taxes and fees affordable as reasonably as possible, adapting to those changes that I just talked about a moment ago, and preserving the village's long-term financial operational stability. The purpose of tonight's workshop is, again, as I said, to inform the council, ask questions, for the council to ask questions, and for the council to provide policy guidance to the staff at the end of the evening. Of course, for public that's participating or listening at home, you all have the same opportunity to become better informed. The decisions that we will be making actually will take place next week. As a function of a workshop, we do not make official decisions or take official actions. It is a matter of providing direction based upon the information that we gather during the meeting. So that's what this workshop is all about. Next week actually will be the very first decision regarding the 2027 budget, and that will be the maximum millage rate that we will adopt for the coming year. And that will be a determination made based upon a lot of the information and discussion that we're going to have this evening. So you see why it's an important activity we have. Our goal tonight is not to negotiate on budget line items. Rather, it is to ensure that we have the information necessary to provide the staff with clear direction before next week's required millage rate establishment. As everyone knows, there is considerable uncertainty surrounding property taxation in Florida, but because of the proposed constitutional amendment, which we expect to see on the November ballot, while that proposal may significantly affect municipalities, a lot of us different from one another, beginning in the future fiscal years, tonight, we must prepare the 2027 budget using the best currently available information. During our last strategic planning session, the council provided direction, as we normally do, to the staff to prepare a budget that maintains most important services that our residents expect while preserving the village's long-term financial stability. That's turned out to be more significant than it had in the past for reasons that I'm sure we'll get into in a moment. So tonight's workshop gives us an opportunity to refine the guidance that we provided back as a result of the strategic planning sessions so that the staff can move forward with financial planning and the completion of a budget, which once again we will approve in September. I would like to ask my fellow council members to help keep tonight's discussion focused on the issues that will provide the greatest value to providing staff guidance. While questions are certainly encouraged, I hope we can avoid getting into the weeds, although I'll tell you, whenever you give decision makers this much detail, it is tempting to get into a great level of detail. But once again, what we need to be doing is asking the questions that will get us to a point where we can actually provide the guidance that the staff needs to complete the work on the budget formulation at this point in time. So with that said, the next item on the agenda is actually public comment. And so I will open the floor to public comment. Do we have any cards?
Mayor.
Do we have any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Okay, would anybody in the audience care to make a comment with regard to the budget? Okay, not seeing any? Oh, okay. Then I will close the floor to public comment, and we will move on to the meat of tonight's activities, which is the budget presentations. We'll begin tonight with the manager's overview, followed by the finance director's presentation, and then we'll get into more detail with the village staff department directors who will present their individual operating budgets, and then finally, the village engineer will present the village capital budget. Following each presentation, I will invite council questions and comments, and then move to the next presentation after that's completed. So I ask the council, please continue to use your iPad, your touch screen, and wait to be recognized, and we will move right into the presentations. Let's begin with the village manager then.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So this year's budget will be one of our more challenging ones because I'm proposing a millage rate increase from 1.92 to 2.15, something Royal Palm Beach has not done since 1995. I really thought I'd complete my career here without ever raising the millage rate, but unfortunately, based on our projected finances, I believe raising the millage rate is in the best interest of the village. Since the sale of the Royal Palm Beach utility in 2006, the village has funded our capital budget with utility sale proceeds and utility sale proceeds investments, leaving our recurring revenues, mainly property tax, to fund our recurring costs, which is operating budget. In 2015, we projected the utility sale proceeds to be depleted, updating all of our parks, buying and building Commons Park, retrofitting all collector roadways with on-street and bike lanes and off-street multi-use paths, and expanding the rec center. During this period, the electorate and the federal government also provided the village with a half-cent countywide sales tax revenue and the American Rescue Plan Act proceeds. These funds provided the village with a new village hall, resurfacing 46% of our local roads, and improved the drainage system and the interconnected stormwater and recreational waterways. Because of the additional funds, we have a balance in our reserves that exceeds our minimum required balance by 146%. Instead of being at our minimum 25% reserve level as projected to be in 2015, we projected in 2026 we would be at that 25% level, but because of those other funds, we're at 146 today. 146 over the minimum, so we're at 171. With our current capital budget and our renewal and replacement capital budget, we are projecting the excess reserves to reach the minimum 25% in 2033, or 6 budget years from now. If we continue to provide the same level of service, increasing the millage rate by 12% from 1.92 to 2.15, beginning in the 2027 budget year, will provide the minimum reserves through 2036 and alleviate the need to raise the millage rate 30% in 2033 and 20% in 2034 to maintain the minimum reserve balance of 25%. For reference, 2.15 was recommended because it is the minimum needed to have a positive operating balance each of the next 10 years while continuing to diminish the reserves for capital. We are projecting the reserve to be at 31% at the end of the 10-year period, so 6% over minimum. When I reviewed the reserves from 2005 to today, we see them jump to 415% after the sale of the utility, and then consistently be reduced to 171% at the end of this year. The reserves calculation is next year's operating divided by the reserve calculation is the next year's operating cost divided by the unrestricted reserve balance. When we compare the operating expenditures from 2005 to 2025, our average percent increase in the operating budget has been 1.85%. We have held the line on costs in the Village of Royal Palm Beach over the last 20 years to about or a little bit less than cost of living. And we've done that by being frugal with the taxpayers' money and not doing things out of our wheelhouse and staying consistent with our vision and our mission. We have successfully kept the cost of the Royal Palm Beach government under control. When you drill down into the revenue, you will see the share of property taxes compared to other taxes and fees have disproportionately increased. This is due to state revenue sharing, franchise fees, utility taxes, and investment income not keeping pace with inflation. And that's been experienced by a lot of agencies. We have more than one fund to fund the general government, and some of those other funds don't increase, have not increased over that same period to the tune of cost of living. What that does is it makes us more reliant on property tax. It's the only revenue that we can adjust. We don't have any control of the other revenues. The state legislation has full control over them, and they change the distribution of them from time to time, or they change the rules on what can be excluded from a franchise fee or a utility tax. How much money are we talking about? We can look at my taxes. My just value on my house is $528,799. My assessed value is $284,041. The difference is my Save Our Homes benefit that I get. My exemption is $50,722. I don't know why the 722 there. That's new this year. I don't know if it's because I turned 65 this year or what. I don't know. Is it? And they do with that automatically? Well, that's nice. I didn't know that.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, property appraiser. So my taxable value is $233,319. My total tax owed is $4,406. There's 14 different taxing agencies on my bill. The Royal Palm Beach tax at 1.92 mils that I pay is $447.97. The property tax at 2.15 mils will be $501.63, a difference of $53.66 or $4.47 per month. Tonight, Council will need to provide direction regarding the millage rate going forward. If there is a unanimous consensus to go forward with the 2.15 millage rate, we will have a balanced budget as required by state law. And that's what we will advertise tomorrow for our July 16th hearing. For a millage rate up to 2.0082 and above the rollback of 1.82, staff will need a supermajority consensus and direction on how to balance the budget. On balancing the budget, the council can direct staff to reduce cost, it's a tune of $276,000, raise fees, or transfer from reserves. And with that, Mayor, we can go into if anybody has any questions, we can do that, and then move into the finance director.
Okay. Well, let me see if any council members have any comments or questions at this point. Councilwoman Brodesky?
Entertained by this new hand signaling thing. Two questions. One, with the both half penny and ARPA dollars, those were restricted in a certain way and not just, we weren't just able to use those any way we wanted to. Could you explain how we had to use those?
The half-cent penny tax was restricted to capital. It's anything that we build that lasts more than 7 years, I believe the time frame was. And the ARPA money, that had to be used to mitigate impacts from COVID. But you could build infrastructure that would work in a future pandemic. So one of the issues was space. We had to stay away from each other and create a lot of space. So what we did is Commons Park, our concerts. That was something, an outdoor event that we could do. So we did a lot of enhancements out there. Building a larger rec center and being able to be able to handle more people at the rec center in a future pandemic, things like that. It wasn't really well defined what it was, but it was loosely defined, and we used it for capital, mostly for capital. We did use it for security. We added 2 police officers within the last 4 years, and used some of the money for that this past 4 years.
Thank you. My second question, and that'll be done. Can you share the fiscal flexibility we have when the reserves are healthy?
We have a lot. The decisions when you have money in the bank are different than decisions when you don't have money in the bank, and that's been one of the real joys of working here the entire time I've been here. We've always been able to make the right decision and have reserves to back that up. The other thing we have done is we said no to increasing the ad valorem. We've always said since 2006, we said we will maintain the millage rate and use reserves if we have to. But that made us uncomfortable because we didn't want to get too far behind the 8 ball. So that's when we later on said we'll use the recurring revenue for operating, which is recurring, and everything else to improve the village with our capital, with all the capital infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, the parks. And we rebuilt every one of the 22 open parks, and built and rebuilt every one of the open 22 parks. And the rec center is our last major project to finish. The rec center.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Samuels?
I think another way of framing that question would be, because certainly when you talk about raising the millage rate or that we have to do an increase, the first response most people have is, well, we have a reserve. And when you look at it that way, so right now we are at 62 million, 63 million?
Well, it's 51 million is what's unrestricted.
Right, okay. So if you want to look at it that way, and then we talked about, because we do have to have a 25% minimum on that.
Which is about 8 million.
And then if we had, from where we are now to the 8 million, and we've used terms in the past of rate stabilization fund, but it's basically what we're doing is we're taking money from reserves to balance our budget.
That is correct.
Because there has been a deficit. So then with that, I believe the projection was 8 years that we can continue to use money from reserves without raising the millage rate before that is depleted to the point of where legally it can be.
2033 we run out.
Okay.
Well, 2033 we get to the 25%.
So I think that's another way of looking at it, is hard numbers that way and explaining it to residents or to people when they come through. The other thing that we also talk about is, as you mentioned briefly, when you do get your tax bill, that there are all the other taxing districts that go in it, that there is a portion that stays in Royal Palm to fund everything that we're doing versus what goes to the county and other special taxing districts.
And when our reserves were higher and we weren't projecting an end to them, and the additional ones all at one time, that was the mentality, was until we're down 25%, not even want to. The mayor at that time didn't even want to consider a conversation regarding an increase in the millage rate until it's gone. And that's an approach. And it was one that made things easy around here because the variable became how much reserves you use, not what millage rate you put. Every other city had to adjust their millage rate to meet their minimums because we're a nonprofit and we don't roll things over. When I looked at our budget, when we did our 10 years projections, and you have, so we've never funded renewal and replacement. It's $2.6 million. We never funded capital, all the new capital. So when we do the 10-year budget at the next 5 years, we don't have a capital budget anymore. So you won't see that in the 10-year thing. So year 5, we have $7 million capital, of which $2.6 million is renewal and replacement. That 5.4 drops off. We don't fund anything outside the 5 years, and the only thing we fund is the $2.6 million. And what happens is when we're out of the reserves, we have a $4 million deficit to make up. And that would require, to meet our minimum 25%, that would require a 30% increase in 2033, and then another 20% increase in 2034. And then later on, it's high enough to where you're going to have a decrease because you're collecting too much to make over that shortfall to meet the 25. So my recommendation in doing it now and not waiting to then was to avoid that significant steep step to make it up at that time. If you do it now, then you're running you get through the whole 10-year period in the positive. You still have a deficit because you're still spending reserves you're still diminishing the reserves for capital. You're just not diminishing reserves for operating too, and then you need to make up both, and you need to have a really steep increase. So even though I'm not going to be one of those people here in 2033, that will be a tough thing to deal with as compared to dealing with a 12% increase today versus a 30 and a 20 back to back. That is the whole thing of why I'm recommending this.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know, when I was speaking to one of my neighbors, I used their children's budget for college, and I said, when your child was born, when your daughter was born, who is now in college, she enrolled them in that college program where so much money was put aside for her to be able to go to school. And while the cost increase did happen over the years, now that she's in college, she had to pay very little in order for her to be able to go to school. And that's how I explained it to her. Mm-hmm. We either bite the bullet now and increase our numbers so that in that year 2033, people, and 2034, there won't be a major shock to the system and to the village residents.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Any other comments? I'll just throw in one with regard to the spike, if you will, in increase in the tax rate, 2033, 34. One of the great unknowns is the condition of the economy at that point in time. And I think we've all lived through this kind of a perfect storm situation where at the worst possible time you find yourself in a need where individuals are already struggling for economic reasons, whatever it might happen to be, the need to raise the millage rate at that point. And of course that adds to the significance of being able to smooth it out over a longer period of time. So I think that's really important. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. No further questions or comments. We'll go on to the budget overview by our finance director, who keeps knocking it out of the park with better, bigger, and more content, as well as something you can actually read as a budget book. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget. This evening, I'll provide a high-level overview of the proposed budget, highlight key financial trends, and discuss major changes included in the budget before you. But before we get into the numbers of the budget, I would like to take a little bit of time to go over the budget development timeline. The budget development process began with our budget kickoff on March 23rd. Following the kickoff, we conducted strategic planning sessions to discuss the village's long-term vision, priorities, and goals. Departments spent approximately 1 month preparing and submitting their budget requests. Finance reviewed those submissions, analyzed trends, and worked with the departments to clarify any significant variances or requests. On May 11th, the village manager, department directors, and I met to review each department's budget in detail and evaluate funding needs. Based on those discussions, adjustments were made and Finance finalized the proposed budget being presented this evening. Following tonight's workshop, any direction provided by council will be incorporated into the budget before final adoption. On July 17th, the proposed millage rate and budget will be presented for formal approval. This action establishes the maximum millage rate that will be printed in the trim notices and sent to the residents. The first public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, followed by the second and final public hearing on September 17th, when the millage rate and budget will be adopted. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 totals $31.7 million, representing a 19% decrease from the prior year's adopted budget. The reduction is primarily attributable to fewer new capital project requests compared to fiscal year 26. The general fund represents approximately 65% of this total budget. New capital projects account for 9%, and then reserves are 23%. At the time the budget was prepared, property tax values were projected to increase by 7.9%, or approximately $390 million over the prior year. Since then, we have been received updated numbers to the projected increase of 8.24%, or $407 million over the prior year. Consistent with the direction provided during strategic planning sessions, the proposed budget includes a millage rate increase from 1.92 to 2.15 mils. As the village manager noted, it's important to note that both the 1-cent sales surtax and American Rescue Plan Act, which is ARPA, revenues have expired. As a result, the general fund lost approximately $2.5 million in revenue, and the capital project funds lost approximately $3.3 million compared to the prior year. This slide shows a chart that illustrates the village's taxable property base by classification. The single-family residential properties represent approximately 56% of the tax base, while commercial properties account for 24%. Together, these two categories comprise the majority of the village's taxable value. As shown here, the taxable values have increased consistently over the past 3 years, averaging about 7 to 8% annually. The larger increases experienced in 2022 and 2023 were influenced by the additions of the Tuttle and Cypress Key development parcels coming onto the tax roll. This is probably the most important slide here. This illustrates the property tax bill with the proposed increase from 1.92 to 2.15. In the village, our median property or taxable property value is $254,352, and our average taxable value is $313,031. When you take out the homestead exemption from both, the difference between the 1.92 millage rate and the 2.15 millage rate tax bill that comes to the village is on a median property tax is $47 per year, and with a homeowner with an average taxable value is approximately $60.50 per year. It's also important to understand that the village only receives 11.68% of the residents' total property tax bill. And as you can see from the $100 bill illustration, The school board and the county receives the majority of it at approximately 50%, followed by fire rescue and library and other taxing authorities. The general fund revenues are proposed at $32.6 million, an increase of approximately 1% over the prior year. The largest increase occurs within the property tax revenues, which are projected to rise 20.82% due to both higher taxable values and the proposed millage rate adjustment. You will also notice the transfers in declining $2.5 million, which is a result of the ARPA funding expiring. Many of our major revenue sources, including franchise fees, utility service taxes, intergovernmental revenues, and fines and forfeitures, are largely driven by economic activities and consumption patterns. These revenues total approximately $17.8 million, representing 55% of our general fund revenue. Other revenue sources such as license and permits, charges for services, miscellaneous revenue are also influenced by activity levels within the community. General fund expenditures are proposed at $31.7 million, an increase of 1.17% compared to the prior year. Personnel services and contractual services continue to be the primary cost drivers, representing approximately 81% of total expenditures. Contractual services and the majority of other charges and services are services provided by contracted vendors, representing 55% of total expenditures. Based on current projections, the general fund is expected to generate a surplus of approximately $887,397. Here you can see that personnel services at 42% and contractual services at 39% make up the majority of the expenditures for general fund. This reflects the village's commitment to delivering essential services to residents. The proposed personnel service budget totals $13.2 million. Parks and Recreation, Public Works, and Engineering account for approximately 59% of the total personnel costs. These departments provide many of the village's core services, including park maintenance, village operations, street and landscape maintenance, recreation programming, community events, capital project management, infrastructure inspections, and GIS support. As stated before, each department director will discuss their services in greater detail during their presentations. Contractual services budgets total $12.5 million. Police protection and legal services account for approximately 83% of these expenditures. The next largest contractual service budgets belong to the Parks and Recs, Public Works, and Finance, which together account for approximately 14% of the remaining budget. These expenditures support services such as maintenance and repairs, recreational instructors, summer camp programs, senior programming, community events, custodial services, investment advisory services, and annual audit services. Several notable expenditure changes are included in the proposed budget. A cost of living adjustment of 2.68%. Average employee merit increase budgeted at 3.5%. A 3% increase in the PBSO contract. And a 10% reduction in departmental capital expenditures under $10,000. These adjustments reflect the village's effort to remain financially responsible while continuing to invest in employees and critical services. The proposed budget also includes several organizational changes that resulted in a net reduction in staffing. The Administration Department reclassified the Administrative Assistant 1 position from a full-time to a part-time position. The Finance Department consolidated the Administrative Assistant 3 and the Accounting Clerk position into a new Accounting Specialist position and reclassified the Procurement and Financial Analyst position to a Staff Accountant position. Public Works is eliminating 2 general maintenance 2 positions and 2 general maintenance 1 positions within the grounds and irrigation division, and 1 custodial position within building maintenance. These services will be provided through our contracted vendors. Now to the Stormwater Utility Fund. The Stormwater Utility Fund revenues are proposed at $1.6 million, an increase of 15.8% over the prior year. The increase is primarily related to a proposed stormwater fee adjustment. Stormwater fees continue to generate approximately 97% of the total revenues for this fund. The proposed budget includes a $1 increase per ERU, raising the monthly stormwater fee from $6.50 to $7.50. At the current fee level, the fund is projected to generate an annual surplus of approximately $150,000. With the proposed increase, the projected surplus rises to approximately $357,000. The fund's current fund balance is approximately $825,000. With the proposed fee adjustment and the projected fund balance would increase to approximately $1.2 million, strengthening the fund's financial position and enhancing its ability to address both planned and unforeseen drainage repairs and stormwater infrastructure improvements. This additional reserve will help us ensure adequate resources are available to support the long-term maintenance, rehabilitation, and resiliency of the village's stormwater system. The Stormwater Utility Fund expenditures are proposed at $1.2 million, representing a 3.35% decrease from the prior year. With the proposed fee increase and expenditure plan, the fund is projected to end the year with a surplus of approximately $356,617. The Capital Improvement Fund program budget totals $14.4 million, consisting of $4.2 million in new capital projects and $10.1 million in reserves for future projects. In addition, approximately $31.9 million in project carryover funding is anticipated from fiscal year 26. These projects were previously approved by council that are expected to continue into the next fiscal year. Later this evening, Chris Marsh will provide a more detailed overview of the capital improvement program and discuss the individual projects included in the plan. This concludes the budget overview. On behalf of the village manager and staff, I would like to thank you for your time and continued guidance throughout the budget process. I would also like to recognize Melissa McGuire for her exceptional work, attention to detail, and countless hours dedicated to developing the proposed budget and preparing the budget book. As you guys have noticed that the book did change. We went into a new software. So during the whole process of putting together this budget, we also was implementing a new software to provide you a new look and a better working budget book for us for the future. Her efforts in producing this book and going through the implementation were instrumental in bringing the document together tonight, so just special recognition to her. I appreciate the opportunity to present this budget to you, and I welcome any questions and comments you may have.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank Melissa. It's a little bit like changing the tire on a moving car when you're trying to do both those things simultaneously,
Yes,
right?
it is.
It's much appreciated. It certainly is. So, okay, I see you, Vice Mayor. Let me just remind everybody, of course, this is the overview level, and we'll get into much more detail with the individual presentations, right?
Correct.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Just question, the 2 positions in Public Works, well, those positions in Public Works, are people retiring on the positions that hadn't been filled, or?
Correct. They're either retiring, haven't been filled, but as of October 1, they will be all vacant.
Except for one, the building maintenance, the custodian position, there is somebody in that position, one person in that position.
Is he going to be laid off?
Have anything else? Okay. All right.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Anybody else? All right. Councilwoman Samios.
So, thank you. Along those same lines, because we've discussed that quite frequently as we go through, as we change titles and positions and movement and everything. And either for our finance director or our village manager can explain it a little bit more, that we do not fill positions when they are vacated in order to help with this process. And because personnel was one of the largest items that you did have as a budget item, but just so our residents know is that if you want to explain that, how thinly margined we work and how small our personnel is for a village this size. The other thing is the difference between contractual work versus employees and how we've transitioned into doing that and the benefit of that going forward.
So whenever a position becomes open, we always evaluate the position and whether it can be done better with contractual services or we need to rehire. And if the decision is to rehire, then we review the job description, the pay that it's paying, and put it out on the streets. If it's something, if it's something that we want to move towards hiring a contractor, then we won't fill it. They typically, then one position will stay vacant for a while until another, because usually it's more than one position vacant to justify another contract. But we have done that over the last 20 years, and I am absolutely convinced that keeping the operating costs under 2% is because of that.
Is by going with contractual work versus hiring?
Going for contractual work for labor, yes.
Okay. And then if you can just give a couple examples of the departments that they have and why they're doing that, because sometimes it's difficult to tell as well. It's a village employee versus a contractual employee.
Well, I don't understand the question.
So like for instance, maintenance, you'll go through and you'll say, okay, well, this is a village employee, but no, we're contracting this company to do this work. Or a lot of our landscaping, we have some village employees that do the landscaping, we contract others. So.
In Public Works Department, we used to have upwards of 3 or 4 mowing crews. After the approval of this budget, we will have no mowing crews. All the mowing will be done by contract labor. And the contractors can give us a better price than we can hire employees at our minimum salary with benefits. They can just do it cheaper, and they're reliable in the point that we give them schedules. They mow 39 times a year, every week during the summer, every other week during the winter, and we tell them what day to show up, and whether it be AM or PM, and they're there and they do it, and it's very, very reliable. So we have done that over the last, as long as I've been doing this. And now in the grounds maintenance, we're not completely getting rid of grounds maintenance. We're going to leave 4 people in that, and that will leave a crew that will do sod replacement, plant replacement, and irrigation repair. And I think they'll be able to focus more on that, because when they're mowing and the grass is growing really fast and it's fertilized, they don't get a chance to do that. Now these 4 will be dedicated to doing that, and the contractors will be doing the weekly mowing. We think it's going to be an enhancement at a better cost.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, thank you very much. Great presentation and great packet. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up, department directors. I'm going
Okay,
to let you run it.
the general fund. We're going to start with the village council department or division. One thing, when the developers of Royal Palm Beach decided they wanted to be a city, one of the things you have to have in every city is a governing body. It serves as the same role as a board of directors in a private company. And having that, this is your budget. I asked all the department heads to explain to you their personnel budget and their contractual services, because that's over 80% of the budget, and that's where all the meat of this is. And I thought that would give you guys the best insight on what everybody is accomplishing with the dollars that you allocate. So in the village council budget, your personnel budget is $155,000. It supports 4 council members and the mayor. The government of the village is entrusted to the village council. You're responsible for passing ordinances, adopting the budget, appointing committees, hiring the manager and the attorney, running for office. The council is required to meet the first or third Thursday of each month. That's under our charter. And the village council contractual services budget includes $62,000 for a lobbyist, Ron Book, and $13,000 in this current budget for a professional survey company to perform 6 community surveys this year and next year for an additional $13,000. If we only contract them for 1 year, the cost is $20,000, and so that's the council budget. In the village managers, but what, you want to stop on that, or you want me to just go on with the village manager's budget? Do we want to discuss that?
We can stop on that. So Councilwoman Samios.
So I know you had mentioned earlier as far as going in the weeds and looking through some stuff, but what you had just mentioned, this program as far as the voting program, I don't recall us discussing it in strategic plan to, yes, go ahead and do it. It was, to my understanding, it was a fact-finding mission. There is and the cost itself, there are other companies that do it more cost-effective. I think once again, if we're asking about raising the millage rate to pay for this stuff, there's quite a few stuff in the village manager's budget that really pertains to the village council that I don't see how it's gotten so far out. So if you don't want to pick them one by one, if you want to go through them and just say, hey, I can talk to him later and bring it back at the next meeting.
And you're right, I didn't get, what we did in strategic planning was we had a discussion about surveys, and Flash Vote was the contractor that was discussed, and it was put into the strategic plan to provide the council with information on Flash Vote. I have given you all the documentation they have given me. Just 2 days ago, they gave me a 15-page document of all their methodologies and what they do. Wellington does hire the company, and they have been on a multi-year contract with them. And their village staff does use it before zoning hearings. It is when they mostly have used it in the horse country area. We do own a survey product that does analyze the information. It's Survey 123. It's through our GIS software, and we have used that in the past. This company specializes in in their paperwork. What they do is they first create the database that they feel that they can get good analytics off of. In Wellington, I think Wellington's 50,000 people, 60,000 people. So they have about 500 people that get the emails and then respond to the surveys. They get probably 350 people responding to it, and then based on that response, they provide the data to the staff and to the council. I don't know that I can sole source this. I think I may have to put a request for proposals out there. I know when we did this once before and put a request for proposals, we got a national company out of Colorado that did work for us with the same idea of being able to get into the community, get the people willing to respond. We got less than a 3% response, which is not good. You need a minimum of over 3% to have reliable analytics. Mm-hmm. So surveys we sent a survey out on one of the programs that we were looking at doing, and I think we got 5 people responding, and 3 of them didn't live in the village. And we put signs everywhere in all of our parks, in the Commons Park. We're asking people to hit a QR code, though, and just assume they don't want their data captured. I don't know.
Right. I understand that. And good practice is you get 3 quotes before you're going to do it. We do have a resident in the village that does this for free. So I don't, once again, when we talk about raising millage rate and then what we're expending it on, I don't remember, unless somebody remembers specifically, that we did vote to go ahead and do this. It was fact-finding to do that. And if it's just to query our residents, I think they feel comfortable enough to contact us if there's something that they want, or staff to let them know.
Okay.
And then if we want to keep going through the other question, just one of the big, there's a lot of little stuff, but the other big one was specifically, each council person has a budget, a reimbursement for travel and expenses and things like that. And it used to be a flat rate up until, I think, recently. So it has pretty much ballooned from 2,000 to I think at 15,000 at one point. And I'm not sure the benefit of that added expense per person. So that was also another question that I had, is why each of us that we have for reimbursement has ballooned to a certain point. There's some things that we talked about, fees that we would talk, one of them was specifically the National League of Cities, that we talked about trying out once because it was the 100th anniversary. And then we were going to reevaluate, but it was never reevaluated. It was just automatically put in the budget. So there's a lot of things like that that kind of just stay in, that I'm questioning as to why they're still in there if we don't vote on it or agree every year.
Well, it's in there because I draft up the council budget. I provide that to everybody, and I ask you for your input and your comments, and take out and put in whatever you want. And no one's asked me to take it out.
Yeah. So this is the other thing, is I'm not sure how we've gone from a $2,000 reimbursement, training, attending organization fee, each of us individually, to then some ballooning up to 8, 6, 15,000. So that was a question. I mean, if we're looking at that, is it really beneficial that 3 people attend the same event? Is it reimbursement for all the same things? Are we gathering information that's benefiting our residents?
Well, I do think there's a benefit for being members of these organizations, and the best reason I can come up with is you can't talk to each other about issues, policies, and things that are going on at the village. But all the other cities are having the same issues, and you can talk to them about anything you want. And usually it's on common things because you're not voting together. So you can't have a conversation with any one of these other 4, but you can talk to, at one of the conferences, you can talk to every one of those other elected officials.
Absolutely.
And I think you get something out of that.
I get that, and that's why we have Palm Beach County League of Cities, we have Florida League of Cities. So the question is do we need to be involved with the National League of Cities when the National League of Cities feeds into the Florida League of Cities and disseminates the same information? I mean,
So, anything else?
the other one that I had that I suggested is we do a strategic planning session every year. I think because of everything that we come up with, it's usually a multi-year project or plan that we do. Residents can meet with us to discuss what they want whenever they want, and we can certainly look to include it. But I think with the strategic planning that possibly we can go to every other year instead of doing it every year. They seem pretty repetitive, that there's not a lot of new and excess stuff, and just do our plan for a 2-year plan instead of 1 year at a time. So those are just the quick, brief ones looking at real quick. That is a huge chunk out of that budget. There's a lot of little stuff, but I'll bide my time.
Anything else? Oh, okay. Councilwoman Brodowski.
I cancel my request for now.
Oh, okay, all right. Vice Mayor.
In regards to the County League of Cities, Florida League of Cities, and National League of Cities, of which I haven't been to many yet, but I will be going to one. I get quite a bit of information. I do talk to other elected officials there, and you're absolutely right, Ray, when you say we can't talk to each other. But we all have the same issues, and we all feel, we
Is your microphone on?
all face the same problems and issues. And so in talking to them and going to the different classes that are at those conferences, it benefits me and helps me to be a better representative on this dais for the residents. And I greatly appreciate the value in being able to do that. It's just mind-boggling to me how anyone would want to be in a position where they didn't learn more than they could possibly learn in order to do a better job. And that's mainly what I go for, to talk to other representatives, find out how they're dealing with issues that they're dealing with. Like the traffic study that they're doing. I talked to actually a couple of representatives from Chicago when I went to the state Florida League of Cities. They actually came and did a presentation at one of the meetings, and it was very informative. And I actually talked to a couple of people at our transportation people, and told them what I had learned that they didn't know. So they pulled that information. So being able to glean and then repeat makes all the difference in the world to me. And I personally, be blunt about it, don't want to be done while I sit here. I like to be as well informed as I possibly can, and utilize the options that I have to learn from different people that can teach me.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Melendez?
Yeah, my only comment would be on the strategic planning session. I can see possibly in the future looking at maybe every 2 years, but absolutely not now. Absolutely what possibly could be coming from Tallahassee. So definitely next year, but I think that's something we should discuss at strategic planning next year in 2027, because, I mean, I believe Councilwoman Samios raises some points and it should be discussed. But as far as next year, definitely for sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So with regard to League of Cities, the many levels of Leagues of Cities, each one provides its own unique perspective. And just as you can imagine, it's a hierarchy. So we get a lot of local input from the Palm Beach County League of Cities. We get statewide input. One of the impressive things is how different we are. But at the same time, we also share a lot of common problems. That sharing of information, insight is so valuable. And it's not just, here's a great idea. It's a, we tried this and it really didn't work kind of a thing. And that's set up by the breakout session, which oftentimes are very valuable. And they run concurrently. And so one of the things that helps is having more than one representative from each village or city or municipality there so that you can spread out. And I know at every one of the events that I've had the opportunity to attend, where there was more than just myself, it was great being able to get back together and share what we had heard. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I been the only one, because there's only so many places you could be at one time. National League of Cities is interesting. I mean, if you'd like to give your sense of the value that you saw, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. One of the things that's really different about the National League of Cities is it doesn't really, the states and the National League don't always connect. And so while we're talking about national issues at the National League, one of the things that was very instrumental was ARPA dollars. Had the National League and representatives of the National League go fight for ARPA dollars, we probably wouldn't have gotten them in our small municipalities across the United States. And so participating at the national level, it gives us an economies of scale, and it gives us a leverage that we wouldn't have by just being in the state. So I'm actually, to your point, I'm actually focusing my attentions on the national level and foregoing the state.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I do have a question for the village manager with regard to our lobbyists. $62,000?
$62,500 plus sometimes.
Oh, 60,500.
Expenditures, no more than 65.
Okay. Are we getting our money's worth?
We got a $112,000 or $115,000 grant this year, and this was a tough year. He's gotten us CBIR, community budget information request funding, quite a bit.
Okay. All right. So.
And he gives us contact to our legislators in Tallahassee. He gives us access.
Okay. And so that's another thing about attending the league levels.
Have to have it, lobbyists to have access, because a lot of the legislators will allow access otherwise. So it's not required to have a lobbyist to have access.
Right, but for those of us who have actually been to Tallahassee, we know that if you can have somebody set up a meeting through the staff, which even the League of Cities isn't able to do as tailored to our needs.
And get some of the department directors.
Right, and that has been my experience. So the answer to the question seems to be yes, it is worth the money. I appreciate that. What's the sense of the council? Is there any change that we want to make to any of these line items that have been brought up? Councilwoman Samios.
Again, so we have flash vote that's in here, and there's $13,000 to set aside for a company to poll our residents. I would, if we're determined, or if the council's determined to do that, then I think we should direct staff to get 3 quotes on other companies that do it. and I understand I'm not asking the staff to do the polling themselves. I know we have the software to do it, but not the manpower. So that's one of them specific. You know, I understand then if we want to wait, just considering what's going on in Tallahassee, to have a strategic planning session next year and then kind of gear it from year to year is fine. Again, there's some stuff. I will tell you right now, and I'll leave it at this, is that I have a very difficult time going to our residents saying we're going to raise the millage rate for these reasons, but we individually are not doing anything to cut our expenditure. So that's a concern I have.
Great, thank you. Councilman Melendez?
I just wanted to clarify that I heard right. Hopefully I didn't hear wrong. Didn't the village manager say if we were going to go this route, we do have to do a proposal and it would have to be bid or a request for people to come in? I mean, it wasn't necessarily has to be flash vote. It wasn't necessarily it's got to be $13,000. That's what I heard. Did I hear wrong?
There's enough people to do surveys out there that I doubt very much they would be able to be sole sourced.
Okay, so there's a possibility of the competition, as Councilwoman Samio said, just don't pigeonhole into one. We're going to go through the
Put the
process to
guidelines
find
out there,
out
right.
what would be best. Okay, that's my question. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Councilwoman Rodowski?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have 3 quotes. As we look at those, I want to make sure that they're apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
I agree 100%. Judging from the response of the surveys that we've gotten so far, I am hard pressed to even think about realistically, unless we can get someone that just don't have anything better to do and will do it out of the goodness of their heart, to actually do a contract with someone else to do surveys. But I definitely support getting bids on other companies. That would be great, to try and find out, you know, if there is someone out there that can do a better job and make it happen for the surveys. As far as the strategic planning sessions, I personally find great value in those, to the point where I've been talking to a couple other cities that want to meet with you, Ray, on trying to do the same thing with their cities, because it makes governing so much easier. So I really do appreciate our strategic planning sessions that we have. They're very well done. We're very prepared, and therefore I believe it keeps us on subject, on point, and financially stable, to be perfectly honest with you, when we follow what we say we're going to do.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Rodowski? Okay.
I'm good, thank
All
you,
right.
Mayor.
All right, great. All right, well, one final comment as far as this topic, let's say the flash vote program is concerned. Going out for bid makes sense. If you can't justify sole source, don't go there for just common sense reasons, if nothing else. But actually, this discussion fits with our strategic planning, because that was one of the items that we had identified as top priority. And the way it was written up was flash vote program, evaluation, options, direction, funding, and implementation. And so we have now accomplished that. We have given direction on this thing. So thank you all very much. With that said, unless there are any other comments, at this time, we can move on with your presentation.
The village manager's office, which includes the clerk's office, has a personnel budget of $1 million, which funds 4.5 full-time positions and 2 part-time positions. The office provides administrative assistance to the village council. The village manager's time is divided between policy, financial management, organizational management, service delivery, and strategic planning. Contractual services are $48,150 and include the strategic planning consultant, public defender's legal services, clerk of court recording fees, and an AV consultant.
Okay. Council,
No
anyone have
questions
any?
on the public defender, huh?
I did not know that. Good to know. Any council members have any comments or questions for the village manager?
Okay.
All right.
So the clerk's office manages each year's elections, records, official manages each year's elections, records official meetings, records for official meetings, serves as the custodian of the village seal, and provides information to the public, other departments, and other governmental agencies. The division supports 5 village boards and maintains records for 14 boards. The division oversees the village's public information and communication efforts through a variety of print and digital platforms. Staff publishes 3 Community Connection magazines, 12 Village Voice newsletters, and 12 Mayor Memos newsletters annually. Maintains and updates the village website and the electronic message signs daily. Manages the village social media channels, produce informational guides and publications for residents and businesses, and coordinates the distribution of public notices, event promotions, emergency preparedness information, and other community updates. Contractual and other services total $92,000, which include the supervisor of elections, the Palm Beach County legal ads, and Facebook ads to promote village events.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the council? All right, not seeing any. Let's move on.
I'm glad I included the clerk's office and the village managers. It made it sound a lot busier.
You stalled. You now have a question. Vice Mayor?
Ray, we know you do a great job, but I really want to compliment our village clerk and her staff, because they do an outstanding job in that office. I'm very proud
And has
of
been
them. I
doing
talk
work
about
for
them
this
all the
village for
time.
42 years and is retiring this next year.
Yes, Ray, you do a wonderful job. We're so proud of you.
No, her.
I know.
42 years.
All right. So thank you, Madam Clerk, otherwise known as Madam Clerk. We really appreciate the fine job that you've done.
Yes.
Next?
Next is the legal. Oh, okay. Legal.
Okay, so
Take care of
we do
legal.
have an attorney online, I believe, right?
We do have an attorney online. The contractual services that are budgeted about the same. We do bill out for her services to the development community, and obviously she works for the council and she works for staff for day-to-day operations. It's a contractual arrangement with her law firm and Keith's Davis law firm. We have gotten excellent service out of them for as long as I've been here. So.
Okay, anybody?
And there she is on the
There
screen.
she is on it. All right.
Anything to add to that, Mitty?
No, Mayor and Council, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person with you tonight. I hope you can hear me, but nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any comments, questions from the council? Not seeing any, we'll move on then.
The police budget. The police budget is another contractual service. The police, we have 57 sworn officers in the police department. That does include the captain and the lieutenant. We have 42 deputies. We have a minimum of 10 on any given day and day shift, and 11 on any given night shift. We have additional deputies as a street team, which is a flexible group that can work day or night. 4 people in the detective bureaus and 4 people in traffic, and then a couple civilians that assist both the traffic and the detectives as an analyst. The sheriff's office has asked for a 3% increase this year, and we've budgeted that in this budget.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the council?
And I believe Rick is there. I know Rick is there, right? If he has anything to add to that, if you have any questions for Rick, or if he wants to add anything to that, Rick, Captain Nayox.
I don't think. Oh, here he comes.
There he is.
All right.
Captain, if you have anything to add to what I said, or? No, sir. You covered it all. Thank you. You did an excellent report just the last council meeting.
So I think you did mention that we are going to be coming up on the end of this contract?
Well, I didn't mention that, but this year we will complete our second 10-year contract with the sheriff's office. Our first one was 2006 to 16, and then we'll enter into another one before October 1st of this year. I have not seen a copy of it yet. I know they sent it to my office, but I've not gone through that. I'm assuming if everything is status quo, we'll move forward with that. We do a 10-year agreement that outlines the parameters of the relationship, and then we do amendments to that for the staffing levels and the cost.
Well, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it and look forward to our continued association.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for
Ray.
the job you do.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, congratulations, Grandpa. Moving on then, right?
Yes. Monica, Human Resources.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. My name is Monica Bowles. I'm the Human Resource Director in Risk Management. The Village Human Resource and Risk Management Department consists of 2 full-time staff, and we actually share 1 employee with the Finance Department. Plus, we have the 1 intern in our department for a total personnel services cost of $510,636, an anticipated increase of approximately $57,000 from last year's budget. The increase is mainly due to COLA, merit, benefits, and an anticipated retirement. The work performed is primarily divided into 8 categories. Job applications is approximately 10%. This includes creating job posts, advertising, routing, interviewing, processing, scheduling background checks, pre-employment testing, interviews, and sending out correspondence. Orientation and onboarding is also approximately 10%. We meet with all new employees. I think I've met with all of you at one point or another. We fill out all your information, disseminate it, process it, and hopefully provide a really good first impression of the village, which I think is an important attribute. Benefits enrollment and administration is about 15%. While we work with a broker for negotiations with our carriers, we often have to help employees with billing issues, premiums, retiree benefits, claims, and coverage issues, communicating and organizing open enrollment for all the employees, and keeping everyone informed on plan announcements. Training accounts for about 5%. We research and hire speakers for customer service, NIMS training, drug-free workplace, safety and harassment, discrimination, as well as do voluntary trainings in the form of lunch and learns with topics such as retirement, wellness, biometrics, employee assistance program, financial and credit education, stress and mental health wellness. Investigations accounts for approximately 15%. These are being done quite often. We often take reports from other departments, firsthand from residents that come into the lobby or often meet them out in the field, and we get a lot of reports from PBSO. We've actually received about 21 reports from January to present, and all those reports require a public records request, investigation. We have to gather additional information, video footage, photographs, physical evidence, because inevitably a lot of these investigations will turn into something further, and we need to be prepared for that when it happens. Workers' compensation and risk claims administration account for approximately 10%. This involves coordination with our carriers, medical facilities, legal teams, and a tremendous amount of correspondence. Risk administration, we apply for safety grant monies every quarter. We do inspections. We make sure we have proper coverage limits, maintenance of property schedules, insurance for our vehicles, buildings, inland marine, and make sure safety measures are taking place and happen within the building, such as first aid and safety supplies, training on CPR and DFib, and the maintenance of those machines, making sure that we are prepared for disaster recovery and operations, and I hope this year we will not have any of that. Liability claims are about 15%. These often start out in the investigation category, but quickly can develop into something much more. So although we have legal representation for those claims, our legal representatives actually rely on the Human Resource Department to supply all the due diligence and information. So we are actually the gatherers of all the information and supply all that to them. We also represent ourselves in all unemployment claims and mediations and appeals. And last, we have employee and labor relations as the largest category at 20%. This is a broad topic which represents the very core of human resources. We solve problems. Everybody brings us a problem, and we try to find an answer for them. Every day to employees with personal challenges, helping them navigate their career and life resources, and while also meeting the obligations and the responsibilities of their position. Often it can be a little bit tricky and often critical for them to have that support. We guide the management staff with issues like performance reviews, job descriptions, compensation, compliance, policies, crisis management, behavior and mental health concerns, and we do this all in a very litigious environment. We are constantly following legislation and labor law updates because compliance is vital, and we want to be sure we're being a responsible employer. I think HR and risk is an internal resource that often is not front and center. We don't have big fireworks shows, but I feel that we're still vital in the operation of the organization and for its employees. How to get that in? And we have chapstick and dental floss.
I'll get it.
And good swag.
Good to know. Councilwoman
And
Samuels?
umbrellas for rainy days.
Well, I will tell you, so unlike the Park and Rec Department where I have concerns about their budget, no, thank you very much for all that you do. And your department really does touch every single department in the village and every resident. So thank you very much for the work. And it's amazing that it's you and Pat that do it. So thank you for everything.
We, years ago, it was coined that David Farber, our old city manager, he said, human resources is a soccer mom. We're there, we're supporting, we're cheerleading, we're fixing cuts and bruises, and during COVID, taking temperatures and giving out kits. We're correcting behavior, we're helping in crisis, helping loved ones, giving them a hug when they need it. We're a lot of different things. And we're happy to be the department. Pat and I have been here each for the better part of 21 and 24 years. So it's been our pleasure to serve you. Thank you.
We're delighted that you are serving us, and it's one of those jobs that most people don't notice, and unfortunately when it is noticed, it's sometimes one of those things that's problematic, right? So being quiet behind the scenes and just keeping things moving allow us to operate with an austere and effective workforce. So we really thank you for what you do. We really do. And the risk management piece is not a small piece.
My associate, Pat, she has taken on the responsibility that whenever we get these police reports from PBSO for, say, property damage in the village, somebody just ran into the fencing over in the Parks and Recreation, a car drove in and bent the post. A lot of other organizations call their insurance carrier and they say, we have this damage. But as you know with your own insurance, that if you did that constantly, you'd be paying the deductible and your premiums would go up. In the course of the last 20 some odd years since we took over the department and were employed here, we personally call the carriers and do all the research and get the estimates and go after and recoup all the losses that the village sustains due to these types of accidents. So whether it's a car hitting a tree and the tree costs a few $1,000s for a crane to come and remove it and read it, we do all that internal work and all that money is recuperated and we save the $1,000 deductible and we don't get the hit on our premiums. So there's a lot of soft costs behind the scenes that are happening that we're trying to keep the costs down. And I think we do a really great job doing that.
And we really appreciate it because insurance costs are always one of the things that hits us pretty hard. And so being well managed at that level helps us out in so many ways, and we do appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm sure. And you are?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Bradford O'Brien, Director of the Planning and Zoning Department. My budget starts on page 94 if you're following along in your budget books. There was, going through the expenditure summary, personnel services, you see a little bit of an increase there, cost of living and merit increases. The professional services, you see a dramatic drop from a budgeted 2026, 80,000 down to 45,000. Also, under other charges and services, you'll also see a dramatic drop from the fiscal year 26 adopted budget of 28,000 down to fiscal year proposed budget down to 6,944. A lot of that, thank goodness, is due to the fact that we don't have to advertise in the Palm Beach Post anymore, and so we save a considerable amount of money by doing that. And you can see it all equates to, from a fiscal year 2026 adopted budget to the 2027 proposed budget, a reduction of 26,000. And now onto the personnel budget for my department is $538,419 and supports 3 employees who provide service to our residents, non-residential property owners, internal departments, local municipalities, and state and local agencies. My staff is allocated as follows. Development applications 42% and variance and waivers at 5%, which includes coordinating and processing development applications from intake through final approval. This includes managing technical staff meetings, coordinating with applicants, tracking applications through project docs, routing applications through required public hearings, preparing agendas, development orders, staff reports, and reviewing minor and major site plans for compliance with the village code, comprehensive plan, zoning standards, development regulations, and conditions of approval. The process also includes applicant coordination, planning and zoning commission presentations, village council presentations, final plan review, and building permit consistency review. Community residential home sign-off, making sure that we've coordinated with all of the departments, state departments, to make sure that the separation of 1,000 feet is maintained. That way we don't get an oversaturation of these community residential homes within our residential areas. Addresses for new construction, zoning confirmation letters, landscape inspections, review vegetation removal permits, monitor conditions of approval for all approved site plans within the village. Next is the review of special event permits, which takes up 3% of our time. Diane and I coordinate pretty closely on those. That's why we got each other. Permit plan reviews is 30%. Some examples include dock permit review, fences, walls, signs, new residential, new commercial, architectural material consistency, use approvals, interior build-outs, changes to exterior elevations, additions, pools, driveways, screen enclosures, patios, slabs, sheds, docks, seawalls, and others. We also do business tax review applications as part of that, 30%. Strategic plan initiatives takes up about 15% of our time. Some of those include develop new land use designations to guide future development and redevelopment within the village. The most recent designation was based on recommendations from the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and established the mixed-use social center designation for areas less than 40 acres. And we are currently working on the zoning text for this. Conduct evaluation and appraisal report for the village's comprehensive plan. Update the village's water supply plan. Update the village's, again, water supply plan. I don't know why I have that in there twice. And so other services that we provide that were not part of the budget, and that, which brings us to 110%, is community.
No, you can't. All right. Go ahead.
110%.
Yeah, we'll stay with you for the time being.
Community Interior Department assistance. This would be pre-application conferences from non-residential property and business owners about proposed changes to property or business uses. This work includes reviewing site plans and village code to determine whether the proposed uses, expansions, traffic impacts, parking needs, site plan modifications, or special exceptions approvals are permitted or required. Pre-application conferences with developers and redevelopers interested in purchasing property. This is typically involves assessing the site build-out potential, identifying potential challenges, and recommending strategies to avoid or address them. These conversations are essential because they help developers and redevelopers move forward with greater clarity and confidence while better understanding the risks involved. And answer public inquiries regarding zoning, development standards, which include setbacks, driveway expansions, impervious surface limits, and landscape requirements. Our time is also accounted for with special assignments. Collaborate with other municipalities on special studies, including the Countywide Transportation Plan, which I serve as the chairman of the IPARC 2.0 committee. Serve as a point of contact for the Census Bureau's Municipal Boundary Survey Program. Update the village's comprehensive plan and our code of ordinance consistent with the mandates from newly approved state statutes. Assist in the budget process. And village liaison to University of Florida's Bieber for population projections and dispute any discrepancies. And with that being said, Mayor, I'll turn the floor back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So with the council, does the council have anything they wish to say? Any questions to ask? Any comments to make? All right, not seeing any. I will make one comment. If you want 110% credit, you're going to have to put in a variance application.
Okay. Or a waiver.
Or a waiver.
Got it.
Thank you for the great job you do. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, so Madam Finance Director is back.
Good evening again. The Finance Department serves as the village's fiscal steward, ensuring sound financial management, accountability, and compliance while supporting the operation of every department. Our personnel budget is $842,561, or 82% of my total department budget, which consists of 5.5 employees. And as Monica had said earlier, we share one of our employees between finance and human resources. Those employees are responsible for a broad range of critical financial functions, including accounts payable, accounts receivable and revenue recognition, payroll administration, capital asset management, budget development and monitoring, purchasing, investments, and cash management. Beyond processing transactions, finance staff provides a financial oversight necessary to safeguard public funds and maintain the village's strong financial position. Staff time is allocated across several key functions. 25% is performing monthly reconciliations, financial analysis, and review of financial data to ensure accuracy, transparency, and strong internal controls. 25% is issuing purchase orders and ensuring compliance with the village's purchasing ordinance and procurement requirements. 19% is reviewing invoices and processing payments to vendors, ensuring timely and accurate disbursement of funds. 17% is payroll administration for village employees, including processing payroll and ensuring compliance with all applicable regulations. 7% is coordinating the annual independent audit and preparation of our financial statements, schedules, and other documentation needed for the audit. 7% is preparing the budget, monitoring the budget, and financial planning activities that support the Village Council's strategic priorities and long-term fiscal sustainability. Our contractual services budget is $122,800, which primarily consists of our investment advisor and our independent auditor. When combined with our personnel budget, it represents 94% of my department's total budget. Through these responsibilities, the Finance Department provides the financial infrastructure that enables the village to deliver services efficiently, maintain transparency, and make informed decisions that benefit residents today and into the future. Overall, the proposed budget for the Finance Department for fiscal year 2027 decreased $75,376, or 7%. And I'm here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any council members have any questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. I will take the opportunity to thank you again for what you and your team do. It's a incredibly important, and it just gets better every year. So thank you again for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I also have the non-departmental budget to go over.
Oh, okay.
That's the next one. The general fund non-departmental budget provides funding for expenditures that supports the operation of the entire village and are not attributable to a single department. These centralized costs are budgeted separately to ensure consistency, transparency, and equitable allocation of resources across all village functions. The non-departmental budget totals about $2.3 million and includes organization-wide expenditures such as property and liability insurance, workers' compensation coverage, community services, communication services, utility costs including electric, water and sewer, natural gas, and other shared operational expenses that benefit multiple departments and village services. Of this budget, utility services account for approximately 60% of the budget. And if you have any questions regarding the non-departmental, I can answer those as well.
Council have any questions or comments? Not seeing any? Do you
I
have
guess
another
that's a
one?
good thing. Nope, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Randy time.
Okay. The next
IT.
is information systems. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I believe my budget is on, excuse me, page 107 of your budget books. So I'm asking for a general fund budget increase from $1,325,000 to $1,357,000, which is an increase of only 2.41%. This modest increase reflects our continued efforts to reduce unnecessary software and service expenses while maintaining the foundation required for daily village operations. The budget increase is primarily focused on maintaining existing service levels, protecting critical systems, and supporting villages' growing reliance on digital services rather than expanding our staffing or adding unnecessary technology costs. So last fiscal year, if you remember, I reduced our staff positions from 5 to 4. And this puts our fiscal year 27 personnel budget at $690,714. And this staffing level requires that each of my employees supports multiple disciplines, including user support, systems admin, network admin, cybersecurity, project and process management, documentation, and training. So how do we allocate our time across these disciplines? So 25% is dedicated to technical support or help desk. We provide daily support to village employees for hardware, software, account access, printing, mobile devices, email, office, and business applications. This also includes troubleshooting user issues, responding to support tickets, deploying equipment, onboarding and offboarding employees, and resolving day-to-day technology interruptions that could otherwise delay village services. Another 25% goes to systems administration. So we maintain the village's servers, cloud environments, user accounts, permissions, backups, patching, endpoint management, and critical application environments. These services ensure that the core systems remain available, secure, and recoverable in the event of hardware failures, software issues, operational disruptions, or God forbid, a cybersecurity event. 20% we spend on network administration, so we manage the village's network infrastructure, including connectivity between facilities, internet access, firewalls, switches, wireless access, security cameras, and other connected systems. Network availability is essential for staff productivity, public-facing services, remote access, village surveillance, and reliable operation of village applications. Another 15% we spend on cybersecurity. So we protect village systems and data through cybersecurity monitoring, phishing awareness, staff training, access control, endpoint protection, system updates, audit support, and compliance-related reviews. These efforts reduce the risk of data loss, service disruption, unauthorized access, and operational downtime. Another 10% we spend on IT project and process management. The department manages technology projects, procurement, budgeting, vendor coordination, contract support, software implementation, system upgrades, and process improvement. This includes supporting major initiatives such as our ERP replacement, our upcoming citizen request module, the mobile application deployment, document management, AI initiatives, and other village-wide technology improvements. And then the final 5% we spend on training and, of course, our favorite, documentation. So we provide user guidance, procedure documentation, training and support, and knowledge resources to help employees use village technology effectively. This improves adoption, reduces support requests, and helps departments maintain continuity with business processes or system changes. The remaining $667,000 of our budget is allocated to contractual services that support village operating software, cloud services, licensing, maintenance agreements, and vendor-supported platforms. These costs cover essential systems such as the ERP, Project Docs Plan Review, ArcGIS, mobile applications, the village website, recreation management software, Microsoft Office, email, and other related technology services. Now, these contractual services are not optional convenience tools. They are core operating platforms used by the departments to process transactions, communications with residents, manage records, support permitting and inspections, maintain transparency, and deliver services efficiently. Maintaining these systems is through centralized IS oversight, helps the village control costs, avoid duplicate software purchases, strengthens our cybersecurity, improves vendor accountability, and ensures that technology investments align with village-wide operating needs. So this is my 27 IS proposed operating budget. We've made every effort here to present you with the most responsible budget possible for this department without compromising our daily operations, and more importantly, without limiting or eliminating any services that we help provide to our residents. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thank you. Council, have any comments or questions? Councilwoman Samios.
Maybe one real quick is to say thank you very much for everything that you do. There is, we've heard stories about data being extracted and held hostage from various municipalities, so thank you very much for all that you do. As challenging as it is sometimes to read our emails, because we're not sure whether they're legitimate or not, but I do appreciate the fact that you are looking out for the overall village and the health of it as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? I'll just add to it that a lot of what you do is invisible because you do it well. And that cybersecurity and the other things, and then also reaching out into the wonderful world of AI is something that I think is absolutely necessary for us to not miss out on the opportunity to do it well, take advantage of that. Project management software I'm very familiar with, and I know a good system can really make a huge difference. And of course, you're kind of the underpinning, the infrastructure that allows the staff to do what it does so efficiently. So for that, I thank you and your team.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
We have to bust on him a little bit after last year's AI rendition of everything, but it's anyway. We have a runner-up for the Lou Recchio Award back there. So anyway, let's talk about community development.
Let's do that.
Right? This is my 31st budget. I've been here 33, so
Wow.
here we go.
All right.
You kind of know the Community Development Department supports the village's growth and community by administering building code enforcement and business functions in accordance with the village's Code of Ordinances and the Florida Building Code. The department provides a building plan review, permitting and inspection services, administers impact fees, and offers technical assistance to the village council, residents, and the business community. The department also promotes compliance with the community standards related to property maintenance, aesthetics, and the quality of life issues through proactive code enforcement efforts. Responsibilities include maintaining communication with residents through courtesy notices, notices of violation, maintaining, supporting documentation, and presenting cases to the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate when necessary. In addition, the department manages business tax receipt administration, supports disaster preparedness and post-recovery evaluation, and maintains our records in compliance with Florida statutes. Our 27 proposed budget is $1,621,412 and utilizes 11 full-time employees. Our personnel budget equals $1,470,611, which is 90% of our entire budget. These resources are directed toward two separate divisional service functions, building and code enforcement. Operations within the building division, inclusive of business tax receipts, utilize 7.5 employees with a personnel budget of $1,076,444. We've allocated our resources to many of our KPIs that are in the budget. So I can kind of go through there, and they provide state compliance plan review and inspections for the various types of construction. This is our building division. We estimate that for new construction, new commercial additions and interior build-outs, we spend about 25% of our human resources. Our new single-family additions and accessory construction is 25% of our human resources. The multifamily buildings that you see going up occupy about 15% of our annual resources. And then we spend about 15% with our business tax receipts, processes, and services. New commercial buildings, we estimate to be about 10%, and new single-family homes down around 10%. And as you can see the growth in our area, you can see that the resources are spread kind of equitably along those percentages throughout our new construction. Additional required elements such as vehicles, training, supplies, contractual obligations with our arborists and third-party inspection services for times when there's vacations and we can still have a state-certified inspector on board equal $114,531, or just over 9% of our budget for the building division. Operations within our code enforcement division utilize 3.5 employees with a personnel budget of $394,116. The resource allocations for provided key performance indicators are as follows. The initial community contacts, this is the community contacts going through the neighborhood and just speaking with someone at that point. We estimate, and with the existing standards and potential code standard violations, of 42%. An additional 42% is the contact that actually goes and implements a courtesy notice. That's, written or sometimes a verbal kind of notice. At that point, we process and document cases, and that would proceed towards a notice of violation that equal 11%. And thankfully, most of the time we get voluntary compliance, but there's lastly 5% of our total resources that are spent actually presenting cases with the special magistrate. The additional resources required for the Code Enforcement Division is $36,270. That includes our special magistrate fees, and that totals 8% of our divisional budget for code enforcement. I think you know all the tasks that we do. We actively and go after it to try to protect everybody's property and quality of life issues, both through confidence in the built environment, to provide a safe area for people to live and play and work and with businesses. And we also have to go through the community and coach those that are here that have to tell people to not feed the ducks and mow their grass and things. And while we have a great community out there, it really does, I think you all know that, and because we've all dealt with little bits and pieces here and there, it does really require that kind of coaching to keep us in the semblance and the quality of life that we enjoy here in the beautiful village of Royal Palm Beach. So I'm here for any questions, and we have the best coffee in town. Stop by my office anytime. And
Is that a commercial? Anybody have any questions to the council? Questions, comments? None? Well, what I'll say is it's always impressed me how so many of the members of your staff have certifications that take quite a bit of effort to achieve and to maintain. And what that says to me is that's the kind of quality of service that we get. The building department, code enforcement, of course, maintains that aesthetically pleasing, to borrow our village manager's favorite phrase, appearance that we have in Royal Palm Beach. And we do appreciate all the great
Well,
work.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do try hard, and I do have a great team behind me. They are very qualified, and as you know, it's a tough balance between delivering those guidelines and reaching voluntary compliance. So I'm really pleased, and I believe we're doing a great job.
Same.
One thing
Absolutely.
to add to that, the code enforcement is that department that as long as they're doing what they're doing, they're not really that noticed. But when they stop doing what they're doing, they are very much noticed. And I think the old Village Hall is a perfect example of that. When we moved out of that building and moved into this building and kind of just left it there and fenced it off and before they tore it down, I'm telling you, in a couple months, that looked like a horror movie over there. It went to weeds and just, unkept so quickly. And that's the way, if they weren't out there driving up and down the streets all the time and just with the little reminders. And like you said, 90% of what they do is just reminders.
Right. Definitely, we do appreciate it. And again, don't get a chance to thank you and your team for all the good stuff that you do in that regard, keeping this village beautiful. Appreciate that. And safe. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
All right, thank you. Okay, next up is engineering. Mr. Marsh. Mr. Marsh.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chris Marsh with the Engineering Department. The Engineering Department, in coordination with other departments, manages capital improvement program funding and project delivery, reviews development applications, and provides final engineering plan approvals, performs infrastructure inspections, processes, and administers right-of-way utilization permits, coordinates with FEMA and Palm Beach County on emergency management activities, manages floodplain administration, including floodplain development review and the community rating system, and helps ensure that new development and public improvements are planned, designed, permitted, constructed, and documented in accordance with applicable codes and standards. This year's budget is $1.487 million, slightly up from last year, about 3.4%. That's primarily due to cost of living and merit increases. The projected contractual services actually went down a little over $30,000. When you look at the breakdown of the department and what we do, we have 8 employees, actually 9 employees, and 2 of them are split in half. The breakdown of that is 50% of that goes towards capital. Currently on the books, we have $31.9 million that we're actively spending. And what you see up on the screen is a map of those projects, and this will help you understand the order of magnitude of what we're doing. Everything in orange is under construction. The blues in the 5-year budget, and the greens are the completed projects. I can tell you this map is going to largely flip because of the completion of the resurfacing that's happening, and the big jobs to the north with the underdrain projects. And when it comes to capital, it's not simply bidding out a project. We do in-house design for those capital projects. We actively apply for and manage grants associated with these projects. We've been very successful with the FDOT LAP program and obtaining grants. And also, there's a lot of effort that goes into managing these capital projects. They don't last they almost never last a couple months. They go through multiple years from conception to completion. So there's a considerable amount of effort that goes into that, and obviously that's reflected in that 50% of our staff time. The next breakdown is the CRS program. That takes about 4% of our staff time. This is our floodplain map inquiry. We get about 60 inquiries. We are a Class 5 rated community, which results in a 25% savings to our residents for having that rating. And to get that rating, it's not something that is easy. There is annual reviews that we have to do. We have to send out mailings to residents. And obviously, we have to make sure that structures are being constructed in accordance with those rules to keep that rating. Right now, there's 750 flood policies within the village that are enjoying those savings. And when larger private development comes through, we actually deal with map changes, which are quite complicated, and there is a significant amount of time reviewing those applications and making sure that they're accurate. The next thing we deal with, and this is for capital right-of-way private development, is inspections. We do a lot of inspections with very few people. In the last year, we did 525 inspections between capital right-of-way, private development. And when you look at a single inspection, some of these inspections last 4 hours, and they involve multiple people in our department. So it's a little deceiving just to say 525 inspections. But we do spend a lot of time making sure things are being built correctly, whether it be private development or our own capital projects, and then managing our right-of-ways, which is going to be the next one. This next slide is actually right-of-way. For private development, we probably see about 60 applications annually, which involves, it starts in planning and zoning, and I sit on the TSR board and comment on those applications, and then eventually they'll become an engineering permit application and run through that process. And that's about 6% of our time. The next slide you see is right-of-way, which takes about 3% of our time. What you see on this map is the 40 active permits that we have. It encompasses 34 miles of roadways that we're managing. As you can imagine, there's a lot of maintenance traffic associated with this. These people do make mistakes, so they directional drill through utilities. They go through our stormwater facilities. So it's really important that we document this, and we do it through GIS. There's a process where they'll submit an application. We have to review that application for the existing utilities, make sure that they're obviously not going to be in conflict with those utilities. Then we permit, and then we inspect those. Obviously, there's a lot of interaction with residents, because when utilities go in easements, people have a difficult time understanding that they're actually allowed to be there, and they typically don't like having their yards dug up and other things dislocated through that process. So, but nonetheless, it's a very important process that we undertake. And emergency management, that's one that is not part of our key performance indicators on here, but it obviously is something that we do annually. We do hurricane training exercises. Engineering spearheads those with our GIS manager, Jeff Sullivan. And we've developed a lot of web maps and GIS applications to support emergency management when it comes, because it's definitely will happen. It's just a matter of when. And here are a couple of the different applications that we developed through GIS, and GIS is about 25% of our department time that we spend, and we support emergency management. This is a time tracking app that we use for finance to ensure that we get reimbursed through FEMA. This is a code enforcement map series that we use as a tool for them to track the complaints and the status of the code actions. And that is the final map that I have to show you. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer those.
Any questions or comments from the council? Councilwoman Samuels.
More just a comment is, thank you very much, especially with the road resurfacing plan or the project. It is very intense and very detailed, and I appreciate the fact that it's been on our website, our current one and our past one. So it's very easy for residents to go on there and see is what's going on, when it will be done, and how you have it timed out as well. So if it's not my road now, when will it be? So thank you very much for the work.
Any other comments? Well, what I will say is thank you to the engineering department. The in-house design work, of course, helps us out tremendously, giving us a leg up, but it's some intimate insight into some of those projects from get-go, followed up by good project management, one of my favorite things, and being ready for those emergency management requirements. It's incredibly important. And we've been talking about a lot of things that aren't really very visible until they're absolutely needed. And that is indeed one of them. Some of the GIS support that you have for those systems, not only helpful when we will need it, but also helps on getting the CRS rating, right? And so 25% off is a big deal, flood insurance, for those that are in the maximum, whatever, I forgot what the terminology is now for the worst flood zone, whatever that is.
The special flood hazard area.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So we really appreciate the good work that you and your team do for us on a regular basis, and we thank you for that.
Thank you. And I'll be back.
I know you will.
Thank you.
We look forward to it. Public Works. Mr. Webster, sir. Oh, okay. Sure? All right.
A couple things before we start. Let's follow up on Chris's. The engineering department, GIS department are now invaluable to the work that Public Works does. We can't track, follow, organize, plan, or do anything without that work unit. So kudos to them. They also, obviously, since we're on the same file here, they also helped me with my presentation this evening. And I will have to go ahead and make an acknowledgement that Copal had also helped with some of these graphics. Last thing before we get started, today completes my 26th year here with the Village of Royal Palm Beach.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And your last budget proposal, huh? And your last budget proposal.
It is my last budget presentation, yes, sir. I'd like to start out with the Public Works budget. It's on page 125 of your budget book. This proposed budget is designed to maintain or, where possible, increase the level of service that the Public Works Department provides to our community. Those services are comprehensively outlined in the department description and key performance measures, indicators in the budget book. I do want to emphasize a principle that we have. Public Works is a service business. We are in the service business. It's what we do for a living. So any discussion on reducing expenses has to come with a corresponding discussion on levels of service. You can't separate them in the work that we do. My presentation tonight, I'm going to focus on the levels of service and that the department has, and the personnel services costs and maintenance contract costs associated with those. And the reason I'm doing that is because those two combined for the Public Works budget is 86% of the budget. Go to the next slide first. I'm going to first cover the maintenance contracts. The Public Works Department has 16 maintenance contracts. Those are found in the budget book currently in line 4650. Those contracted maintenance items total out to a total of $1.3 million. If you went, and again, when you combine that with the 1.7 for personnel, that's 86% of the budget. Those contracts are the custodial, air conditioning, fire security, elevator, pest control, generators, fountains, electronic gate, grounds maintenance. That's in there three different locations because there's currently 2 contracts. And the last one there is the proposed contract that'll be offset with the service, the personnel that the positions that we're eliminating. Fitness equipment, pressure cleaning, sidewalks and medians, tree trimming, and those are our contracted budgets or contracted items. When you look at the overview for the Public Works, the Public Works Department obviously is a split. There are personnel in there that are split with stormwater. So the effective full-time equivalent positions for Public Works are 17.1 full-time equivalent. The total man-hours budgeted are 35,568. It's $1.7 million expense. The allocation across our divisions is road and bridges, 11,000, electrical, 7,200, grounds, 7,000, building maintenance, 5,200, admin, 2,900, and fleet, 2,000. The performance indicators that we have, these are all in our budget book, and I'll go through them. But I only want to hit some of the key ones, if that's okay. Trees maintained, 4,000 trees. This graphic is to depict the expanse of all the trees and everything that we maintain throughout the division. That could be contracted work out to do it, which we do on some of our roadways. But also over every roadway, over every sidewalk, if it impedes either the sight line or the height above the sidewalk or the roadway, we maintain and keep it trimmed to a proper level. Got a couple nice looking trees there in the picture. I believe both those are on this campus. Sidewalk maintenance, 620,000 linear feet. I had this slide put in because over the time that we've been tracking this with our GIS system, this is all the areas of the sidewalk in the village that have needed work. Either, you see to the right, they either need to be ground, need repair done to them, or the sidewalk need to be taken out and replaced. We currently do that with in-house staff. We've got a scarifier where we grind them down, we break the concrete out and replace it, or we cut it out and do a repair on it. We have a system in place where we split the town on Okeechobee Boulevard, the village on Okeechobee Boulevard, and we inspect the north in January. And all of those, unless it's something that a contractor has done, have to be completed by June 30th. And we inspect the south in July, and those have to be correspondingly done by the end of December. Traffic control signs throughout the village. We, as part of our retroreflectivity program, we actually, a few years ago, if you remember, we bought a gun so we can go out and shoot them. We go out and shoot the signs to try and get minimize how many have to be replaced. But these give you an example of all the signs that we're dealing with. Streetlights. 938 of them in town. The man hours associated with doing streetlights is 7.5% of our budget. Sidewalk maintenance is 7% of our budget. The largest percentage of the budget is building maintenance. The next one is median tree maintenance. Streetlights, and then there's the site lighting. This is the lighting in every park, all of the exterior lighting on every building. Our electrical division, which consists of 2 employees and a electrical helper that's going through the training program now as part of our process. And he's starting his 3rd year in that program. So, a few things. There's my other page. That I want to make sure that everyone's aware of. We are not proposing any custodial service to be done with in-house staff. We are going to outsource all of the custodial for Farber Training Center, PBSO, and FOC. And that would be in lieu of hiring an additional 1.5 to 2 employees. We're just not getting the level of service. The level of service that we require in all of our custodial work is the same as the work that's done in this building, but we just aren't getting it with the staff that we have. So the decision we made during strategic planning was to do the outsourcing. And then the 4 positions in grounds and irrigation, 2 of those employees retired and 2 left involuntarily, and more a function, or at least as much a function as evaluation as to whether or not to outsource them as it was that couldn't get anybody, couldn't find help. We've been in that position before, and when you do the evaluation to outsource it, the benefit of being a public employee is the benefits are really good. The downside of that is I can't put the labor to this work that a private company can. It just can't be done. You can put 2.5 people to that same job per person that I can put to it. And it's not so much a function of benefits, but they work their employees 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. So they're getting 20 hours overtime every single week. And that trumps, with a lot of people, trumps the benefits. So that completes my evaluation for the Public Works Department. Oh, the other interesting thing that through that evaluation of it, the personnel cost per man hour for the 1.7 million to 35,000 man hours comes out to $48 per man hour for the Public Works budget. And that's all I have, and I'm welcome any questions that you might have.
Okay. Anyone on the council have any questions or comments? Councilwoman Samios.
Real quick, Mr. Webster, first of all, thank you very much for all of your service to the village. I know it's been a while, and hopefully you'll get to enjoy that with your wife now that you're both retired, so it'll be enjoyable. When you talk about employees that you couldn't find, staff members or certain employees, is it that you found we were not getting candidates applying for the positions or not qualified for the work that were applying for the positions, which led us to not being able to fill them?
Qualified or quality?
Well, quality or quantity. So were people just not applying?
Well, no, we can get some, not like we used to. We get some. It is a reduced number of applications. But I'll just give an example. This last round before I sat down with Ray and we came up with a plan just to outsource that work and how to restructure it. Keeping in mind that the one key thing that Chris covered in his is emergency management. So my core work group has to stay the same, and the vast majority of that core work group's in road and bridges. So when we applied for those groups, I had 2 GM1 positions open and a GM2 position open at that time. We did not attempt first to fill the GM2 position, which came from the retirement of an employee, longtime employee. The first 3 applicants, the one had more points on his driver's license than I have money in the bank. So we certainly would never let him drive one of our vehicles. And then there was also background issues. I mean, just we're not getting, and the other ones are just indoor workers. Tomorrow's going to be a heat wave down here. It's going to feel like 105 degrees. If you've been working in a restaurant, all of your jobs are inside jobs in the air conditioning. They won't last long. I had a gentleman we hired a couple years back. I asked him point blank, would he be able to work in the heat? Yes. He was an older gentleman, not as old as I am, but he was probably, I think, mid-30s.
That's old?
For working out in the heat? Yes, ma'am. One day, he came in at lunch and said he couldn't do it.
The other thing that we run into is the hourly pay we have is with benefits. They're comparing that to a lot of other jobs that are hourly pay without benefits. And what's important to them at that time of life is at the end of the week.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Webster.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about how you decide contract out or not kind of a thing, but you pretty well explained that. And it's interesting, too, because it isn't necessarily kind of an algorithm type thing. It's a real world kind of a consideration. So sounds like you've got a pretty good balance right now between in-house and contract. And
well, as soon as we get all the contracts in place for the grounds maintenance, it's a struggle right now. The work that we're trying to get done with the amount of staff we have is a struggle. But, you know, we will get the contract out for the additional grounds maintenance, and that'll relieve that workload. Right now, I have to ship people over from road and bridges to help with grounds. I have nothing else.
Okay.
There's no other way for me to get any of it done.
well, of course, that work is what adds to the aesthetically pleasing nature of this village, clearly. I mean, it is probably as much as anything else, so we really appreciate that. 4,000 trees, 620,000 linear feet of sidewalks. Just recently saw a bunch of sidewalk repair on Crestwood Boulevard, so I know how it goes, and to see the whole variety from
I think those are in that map, Mr. Mayor.
Probably are, and it was well done, short period of time, well marked, all of that, so obviously just well done, and of course the street lights, not to mention the site lighting. I mean, that's one of the really coolest things about this building, quite frankly, is at night. So we thank you for all the hard work that you do. And by the way, that's probably the best characterization of the work that you do. hard work. It is hard work.
It is, and, you know, I've got good people, but it won't cover the labor needs right now, so.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're going to do
I
the
guess with your
utility fund,
permission, I'll go to stormwater.
please.
The stormwater budget reflects the 6.4 full-time equivalent employees. Those are split between Public Works and stormwater. That is from the split from Public Works and stormwater. This budget that I have here that's proposed to you today is there are no major budget service level changes. It's basically a status quo budget.
Now, we are asking for the additional dollars of revenue, and the reason for that is our unplanned and planned stormwater drainage capital. We've had over $500,000 of unplanned capital replacement in our drainage system in the past year. Our planned capital improvement replacement in stormwater isn't covered with what we make here. So that puts the pressure on the reserves and the ad valorem. And that's why we're asking for the increase, because like I said, just the reserves in this account don't even cover our planned stormwater replacement, not alone the emergency stuff. And the emergency stuff that we've had, we know there's more pipe out there that needs similar material installed at similar times. So we're keeping an eye on it. We have been asking for a grant from the state to fill all of the pipes that were installed 3 or 4 years ago to maybe get an idea before they actually fail and create bigger problems. But that's why we're asking for the increase.
And those two items are actually closer to $600,000 for those two, because the one over on Park Road, we had 2 different contractors worked on it. So when you looked at that, plus the one up here on Royal Palm by the Dunkin' Donuts, it was close to $600,000.
And one lawsuit.
Part of my presentation here will also address something that the manager just brought up, the pipes. These are outfall pipes. Many of them are corrugated metals, similar to what failed both of these locations. 1,042 of them outfalls into our drainage system coming out of town. I can't give you a number how many, but there are a lot of them going between homes, a lot of them. So a lot of them are similarly situated to the issue that we had off Park Road for those 2 homes in that little neighborhood. It's a problem. All right,
Went up on our screen.
he doesn't.
It's up there, but not on our screen. We're getting the TV cameras.
Randy, didn't he? What do we give him on his evaluation there on that? No, I'm kidding.
Who's their AV guy?
The stormwater is budgeted, the operating, personal service related operating expenses for stormwater, $665,000. That's 13,312 man hours that's covered, and equates out to 600. It comes out to I think when you combine that with our contracted maintenance of $450,000, it's 91% of the stormwater operating budget. The Primarily, I have divisions that work within that area: road and bridges, admin, grounds, and irrigation. The road and bridges, obviously, primary, the 4.2. But we do have as part of stormwater, the NPDS permit, our stormwater permit, is covered under that, under this operating budget. And so we have compliance tasks that, although they may not be listed in there as part of our key performance indicators, they are required, and I'm going to cover those as well. The basic ones that the indicators, the key ones we have are stormwater structures maintained, stormwater pipe maintained, and I think I just outlined the number of outfall pipes that are included in that pipe that's being maintained. There's 1,500 total structures, 71 miles. The target numbers there that we do a year are based on our requirements on our NPDS permit, and it breaks it out over a 5 or 6 year period is what it breaks out to, and that gives the total of our. For the purposes of this discussion, those key performance indicators, I just allotted 33 1/3% of the time to all of them. I keep hitting that wheel, I apologize. The NPDS, the tasks that are impacted or impact our labor needs in the stormwater budget, street cleaning, which is the street sweeping, and the litter removal. So if you recall, in the past years, we had a contract that we had for street sweeping. Started out when I became the Public Works Director, somewhere around 11 or 12,000, and crept up all the way till it came up to close to $60,000 a year. And I priced a sweeper and convinced Ray that was the way to go. So that contract, we don't have a contract, but we do have one person, and it's about 5 days a month that all he does is sweep. And that person is attached to the grounds irrigation division. He was the person that the operator that was previously doing is one that left us, and he was his backup, so we moved him into that position, and he does an excellent job. The litter removal, we pick up litter every Monday. We utilize 9 persons out of the Road and Bridge group. They work 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, depending on how heavy it is. And that is our level of service for litter. I know we, over the years, have consistently had requests for more and more litter, but the cleaning it up is a labor-intensive operation. Mm-hmm. So this is the level of service that we are able to do with the personnel, and we've been doing it for quite some time. So dry detention, wet detentions, these also include sections of the wet detentions for our canal systems. Equipment yards, practices, and inspection. We do annual inspections on both Field Operations Center and the Parks Operations Center. Those are the 2 equipment yards that we currently have, and that's all we have that are qualified under the NPDS. We do spill prevention and training. We do joint training with the Palm Beach County MS4 group, and we do training and apply best practices for pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizer storage and application. The 4 contracts that we have currently is the aquatic vegetation control and maintenance for the village system and the M1 canal, and those dollars are there. The NPDS, that's the payment to the group for managing the NPDS permit, and the aquatic vegetation debris removal, which is an item we put in there several years back. And those are 451,000. You can see at the bottom of the slide there that the total for personnel services and it does come out, is 1.1 million. It does come out to 91% of the budget. I want to just give you an idea of what we're doing here. These are not all of the storm structures. These are all you can actually see when you put them on the map. When you add it in, you cannot see any of the aerial. If you put them all in, you can't see any of the aerial behind it. So Jeff Sullivan, we came up with the idea to just put these in, and so I want to give you an idea of the extent of what the system is. The blow-up picture here of the Village Hall complex, and then some pictures of the drainage. We maybe should have swept those out before we put the pictures in. This is my last presentation. This is our street sweeper, and these are the roads he sweeps. The yellow are roads that are swept monthly. As part of the MPDS program, all the remaining roads in the village are swept once a year, and they're broken down over quarters. Sometimes he'll do some during each month, but at a minimum, we do some of the annuals quarterly. But this is what we sweep. We sweep La Mancha, Ponce, Crestwood, Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. Not sure why that didn't come out yellow, but Seminole Palms Drive, Belvedere Road up to the roundabout. Looks like Wildcat Way, Sparrow out to Crestwood Boulevard, and Southern Boulevard, and State Road 7. Okeechobee we also sweep. It's a redundant sweep. It's in our MPDS permit limits, so we sweep it. It's a county road, so they sweep it. So it should be the cleanest road in town. Our equipment yard, just to give you an idea of the extent of what an industrial type lot looks like. That this is what ours, close to what we currently look like. Most of the water plant is gone now, obviously, but this was. I don't think we have updated aerials to show everything gone, but. We do the inspection. We have practices for this year, MPDS performance type practices for the yard, and we do the inspections on it. And those are the major ones that I wanted to outline. And again, the percentage of the personnel services and contracts, 91% of this budget. And oddly enough, the cost per man hour for this is higher than Public Works. It's $50 per man hour. And that's my presentation.
Okay. Thank you for that. Council, any comments or questions? All right, not seeing any. We again have that. If it doesn't get your attention, it's because it's working well. And we appreciate that. We do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're going to miss you.
I'll miss everybody here, too. This group back behind me is it's a good group of people, very competent. They're all good at what they do. It's been a pleasure working with them. Been a pleasure working with Ray. Our legal department and this council are excellent to work with. So I've been in local government before at the county level up in Alabama, and it wasn't so nice. That's as nice as the way I could put it. It was dysfunctional. But anyway, I appreciate the time here. This town and this job's allowed me to raise 3 children. I've got my great nephew that lives with us and has since he was 5 years old. Wow. And it's afforded me great opportunities. And now I'm going to tell you thank you for the retirement you're about to let me have. Thank you much.
You've earned it, sir. You have earned it. Thank you.
Is it possible to be filibustered in the budget hearing? All right, so I'm here tonight to present to you the Park and Rec budget for the 27 fiscal year. I'm just going to give you a few highlights and then be willing to take any questions that you guys have. The Park and Rec Department has an overall budget of $7.17 million, which represents what I consider a modest increase of 2.4% over last year's expense budget. The Park and Recreation budget is divided into 3 divisions. The Parks Division, which has a budgeted operating cost of nearly $3.6 million. The other 50% of the expenses divided almost equally between the Recreation Division and the Cultural Events and Facility Division. Personnel and contracted services make up nearly 85% of the overall expense budget. This includes the 71 staff positions that we have in our department that provide our community with our parks and recreation services. The 71 staff positions is comprised by 70 full-time positions, 17 part-time positions, and 14 seasonal positions. The Parks Division manages the upkeep of primarily 22 active park sites as well as a few passive park sites, and that includes 340 acres with that expense cost averaging nearly $10,000 per acre for the upkeep. The Recreation Division offers 47 programs annually at a cost of nearly $350 per person for the 5,300 participants in our recreation programs. The Cultural Events and Facilities Division plans and hosts 110 events for the community at an average cost of just above $6,000 for the 106 smaller events and an average cost of $120,000 for our 4 large events at Commons Park. Obviously, the biggest one you guys were there just this past weekend to experience. So with that, I will open it up to you guys with any questions. I didn't bring any T-shirts, cups, wristbands, because we gave them all away Saturday at the 4th of July celebration. So, but I'm here to answer any questions that you have as well.
Council, any comments, any questions about Parks and Rec? Parks and Rec. Questions? No comments? All right, well, obviously, the Vice Mayor, you have the floor.
I had never, ever in my entire life heard of dueling pianos. And in my mind, it made no sense to have a couple of pianos trying to duel in an open park until I saw it done. And I hereby apologize to you for all the little terrible thoughts I had in my head, because it was absolutely fantastic. It really was.
I appreciate that. And that's when you come to the festivals or the parks, sometimes you learn and experience new things. So.
Absolutely. Any other comments from anyone? If not, I will add to that. I mean, this is the most recent event, of course, was 4th of July, 250th celebration. Well done, very, very well done. And I've been really impressed with the amount of detail that the whole team gets into and trying to figure out what is the right mix of things to not only for that particular occasion, but for something special like the 250th birthday of our nation. And I want to compliment you and your team on coming up with a really great combination of things. Dueling pianos as well. Folded in there. I had the same kind of concerns about what. But again, it is a fantastic thing. And of course, our fireworks show, which always knocks it out of the park. It's an amazing thing. And And it just adds to that reason to come together as a community, which is what these events are really all about. And it attracts folks from outside to share in what a wonderful community we've got. So we thank you all for all the work you do. And that's not even talking about the programs and that type of thing. Those are fantastic as well for youth, seniors, just amazing stuff. It really is. So thank you for what you do.
You're welcome. I will share that with the team. So, okay.
No doubt about it. And Mr. Marsh returns.
I'm back. Is everybody ready for the fireworks?
Yeah, nice try to play on that.
So once again, I'm Chris Marsh. I'm here to present the 2027 Capital Improvement Program. Let's get going. This is a summary of the revenues, transfers, and expenditures. We had a little over $14 million in revenue, about $1 million in transfers, and $500,000 in, 200 out, and then expenditures for 27 are a little over $4 million, with a reserve for future CIP of a little over $10 million. The rec facility fund, the count for contributions contributions received for all sources of acquisition, improvement, expansion, or implementation of parks and recreation facilities. The only project on there is the future park at Tuttle, and this is out at the end of the 5-year plan. Then we have the community beautification fund for contributions received from local developers to enhance the aesthetic, landscape, and visual perception of the village. And we have the Okeechobee entry feature sign project is the only project in this fund. Then we have the remnants of the American Rescue Plan. There's no expenditures in that. There is some interest money that's remaining to be spent on that. And I believe that's just going to be transferred to other funds. Then we have a new fund, the Tree Bank Fund. This is funded through developments that take out our specimen trees. And there's currently about $781,000 in that fund, but no expenditures assigned to it at this point. And then we have the Impact Fee Fund. The fund was established to collect impact fees on all new construction activities in the village and pay for new capital facilities related to new development. These fees are levied for roads, public parks, public buildings, law enforcement, and fire rescue. The Camellia Park improvements is the major park, our project in this fund, and that includes replacing the sports lighting for the tennis and softball fields, improving the drainage, and replacing the restroom facility. If you have any questions on any of these other projects, I'd be more than happy to field those. Then we have the 302 fund, the sales surtax fund, which is unfortunately another funding source that is going to be going away. However, we do have a very big project, that is well underway, and we have a very good contractor on board assisting us with the construction of that. This is a 3D rendering of the expansion of that project. Here's a 2D layout with the expansion in red. We'll be expanding the building a little over 25,000 square feet. And
Wait, can you go back to that picture?
sure.
So you see at the bottom of your screen, you see those 3 rooms? That's going to be our largest room at the rec center. Those are partitions. They can open up, and I think we have a capacity close to 300, 200 in there. So that'll be, and obviously they're adjacent to the other big rooms across.
I think we
from
were
it.
capped at 150 before in the other big rooms. So this gets us
Right around 200.
right. And here's an aerial that was taken a few days ago. You can see that the pad is been elevated. The trees were cleared out, and they have started putting the helical piles in for the foundation, and they will be actively forming the foundation beginning next week. So you're really going to start to see some movement there. A couple major milestones for the building. The phase 1 of the building, which is the expansion portion of the building, we're going to build everything we possibly can before we start to take away services in the main building. And once we construct that outer area, we're looking at that being substantially complete around May of 2027, and then we'll see a full building closure. For a period of 7 to 8 months, the building is going to be closed, and those programs will have to be moved to other facilities during that time. And Mark has been working to come up with a plan for that. And obviously, the Kaufman Linn is on board to make sure that it does get completed in that time. They are actively buying out all the materials that are going to be needed, so everything could happen seamlessly for that construction. Here's a few other pictures, and they've been doing a good job. The entire area is fenced off. They're going to put some windscreens up and keep it safe for the public during construction. The construction does actually go outside this area. There are some improvements in connectivity between the existing larger parking lot and the Katz parking lot. We're going to create a roadway connection, reconfigure the basketball court, and then resurface all of the internal roadways for the site. And actually that connection will be happening pretty soon, within the next month is the plan. And we also have the art and public places in this fund. And then we have the general capital improvement fund. And this first project is really just maintenance of our security cameras and our electronic door controls. We do have a lot of cameras out there. We have 232 cameras, 20 LPR cameras, 5 electronic door control sites, which includes 45 mag locks. So there is maintenance that's required for these as they come to the end of their serviceable life. We have to replace those, and we continue to add to them. This project is a smaller project, but it's lightning mitigation for those cameras to make sure they're grounded properly. This is a kiosk right here at Village Hall. Residents some additional information when they come into our lobby. And this is a new civic rec management software to take the place of RecTrack and more user-friendly for our residents and staff. This is at the Cultural Center. The doors that are outlined in red, they are not working properly, and so they need to be replaced. Next project is the projectors They've reached the end of their life, and the two existing projectors will need to be replaced. And this is netting out near the driving range to keep Ray from hitting pedestrians on the sidewalk over here. With errant golf balls. And this is the boat ramp and dock replacement. This has been in the budget. We did up it a little bit, and this is a rendering of what it will look like. We're going to eliminate the bench area at the end, and it'll simply be a place to launch your boat and tie off if you'd like. And this is just replacing the light fixtures on Lamstein Lane. And this project, we have the cul-de-sacs, which you can see on your left, kind of spread throughout the village, that we're currently having to mow each of these individual areas. We did look into just paving over them. That was going to be at a cost of a little over $400,000 to do that, and it was going to take away from the aesthetics. I think because we'd have to remove all the landscaping in those areas. In certain situations, there were light poles that were going to have to be relocated. So this is an alternate to that, which would be putting some decorative stone in those areas, which would greatly reduce the maintenance. It would still obviously allow vehicles to cross those areas to make the turn for the bigger vehicles, but obviously greatly reduce the mowing maintenance and still allow water to percolate into the ground. This is at the lift station. There's an oversized lift station out there, and this would be putting in a smaller station to better fit the usage from the site. And this is a generator for the FOC. This is actually taking the old generator from Village Hall and then creating housing for it on site to feed the Field Operations Center. And this is the old water treatment plant building. It's a little over 7,000 square feet, and we're looking to recapture that space and use it for storage. So we'd fill in that trench you see there and concrete it, and then put industrial shelving in here, which allow us to indoor store our attic stock and other type of parts and goods for the Public Works Department. This is a rendering of the third potential RV lot. When we took down the old water storage tanks, it created some surplus space at the Field Operations Center laydown area. So this would turn that space into rentable space. And we also did propose some EV charging stations out off of Sparrow that would be accessible to the public. What this project is converting our signals to mast arm signals, which they're better hold up to storms. The plan with this is to put it in our budget and try to get grants through FEMA, through the LMS grant process. So these are going to be out at the end of the 5-year program, and in the event that funding becomes available, we would replace the signals at that point. Then this is the 2028 resurfacing. Just when you thought we were done, in a couple years we'll be back resurfacing this network of roadways. And obviously, with the resurfacing program, these are the estimated roads to be resurfaced. We do have another project where we're going to go in and rate all the roadways in the village, and then if needed, we would reprioritize that list based on what we find from the video. They'll go through and literally map every crack in the roadways and give them a rating, and then we will fine tune this resurfacing program based on that. And the next couple of slides are the remaining projects, so if you have any questions on those. So we do have, for the CATS artificial turf, there's a $1.5 million grant that we are very close to getting for that project. Mark is dotting the i's and crossing the t's, and we're hoping to secure that funding within the next month or so. The final fund is the Stormwater Capital Improvement Fund. And obviously this is for capital project in the Stormwater Utility Fund. And this is a list of the projects. I don't have any slides after this, so if you have any questions.
Any questions of the council? Of the council. Councilwoman Samios.
Mr. Marsh, I have several questions. So the first one, we talk about the tree bank fund. And I know in the past because we have not specified what that money would then go to. We talked about whether it would be village use, whether it would be residential use. Do we have any thought as to the $781,000? Okay. Right. Okay. So then that'll be next year then.
Because if you ask Paul, we have a lot of trees that are hit, and with adjacent to roadways, so we could use it to replace those trees, or when we build new parks, we certainly could use the money to add landscaping within those parks, or enhance landscaping within our own right-of-ways or parks. So there are a lot of options, and as the manager alluded to, I think it would be a great strategic planning
Conversations. And we can certainly, hybrid it as well.
And to engage the public,
right,
to see if they would like to see some type of program to add shade along our walkways. We certainly could use it, right. Especially this time of year.
Exactly, with our 60 miles of sidewalks. Going to the renovation expansion of the rec center. So 2 questions, but number 1, you had mentioned the roadway behind the basketball court and into Katz Field. So is it making an entryway or pathway behind the basketball court so you can drive that way into Katz Field parking lot?
It's basically going through the existing court, and then we're going to reconfigure the existing court. So it'll be going through a piece of the basketball court and next to the skate park. So,
not behind it.
The basketball court runs north.
The center.
The courts run north-south. We're going to turn them running east-west and then fit a road in there.
Into that way, okay. And then it will cut through so you can access Katz parking lot from either side then, correct?
And we're going to add some parking there, which I think will benefit the soccer program.
It's difficult to get through there. My other thing is, and I brought this up, it's strategic planning. So we have $117,800 in the project for art and public places. So again, if we can not use that portion in there, as we're talking about where we're allocating funds to, and use that where we can still have art in the facility, but now you have residents or local artists that can display their work. So we still have the art in public places, but not purchasing an item for $117,000 to place there. So that's also something I would like council to revisit. Again, as we talk about raising rates.
We don't have that $117,000 allocated. That's what's in the remainder of the sales tax fund allocated for but we did not pick
We have
We've
not picked a project.
identified an expenditure of that.
And the rec center already has it in the current project scope. We have $100,000 in that project already.
That was awarded to the
That's awarded
contractor.
to the contractor. So.
Our money, so we can decide where we want it allocated to. In a strategic planning session, MIDI did say that we can revisit that and remove it from there. So it's just letting the contractor know, we've changed our mind, we don't want to allocate that funds for it.
Separate from the contractor. That 117 is in, it's sales tax, it was sales tax proceeds, half-cent sales tax generated money that we put into a fund limited to spending it on art in public places. You can always take it back out and put it somewhere else. We never created we haven't created an expenditure for that to date. On the rec center, we already approved the $20 million contract with him with the $100,000 in his contract, and that's already been awarded. So
Okay, I understand that. We can move that money, that $100,000 that's in there. It does not have to stay for art and public places in there. I understand the contract was awarded.
you mean the 117?
Okay, we have in the budget for the recreation, the expansion, there's a line item for $100,000 for an art and public places, correct? Okay.
Correct.
We can remove that line from there. We do not have to have the contractor use that for art and
We
public
don't know
places.
how much of the $100,000 he's used already.
I think it's worth a conversation to have because I'm not quite sure they're at that point yet.
If that's the council's direction.
This is what I'm asking.
Council?
I'm not sure. I think we need a bigger discussion on it.
For information?
I can tell you that we are going to come back to council with the artwork. You guys will make a decision on that artwork, so for the rec center.
Okay.
Well, if the money's not going to be allocated.
Hang on a second. Vice Mayor?
I definitely think we need more discussion if we're talking about doing hate change orders.
You need to hit your...
First of all, I hate change orders, but we need to have more of a discussion before we make that
Okay.
type of a change. And I don't understand why it's even a discussion of it if it was realistically a part of the budget to do on that particular project anyway.
Okay.
So-
Mr. Manager?
Not to make it more complicated, but the way this contract is set up is if we were to take it out, it would move to contingency. And then if we don't spend the contingency, then the contractor's entitled to 10% of that money. So just to give you a heads up on that. So with this form of agreement, we have a guaranteed maximum contract. So basically, they bid out all the work, and there's going to be money left over, and then whatever is left over, they get a bonus of essentially 10% at the end for any of that money that's not spent.
Did you have something?
Has his staff working on this item, so I don't know how much he's spent to date working on this item.
Okay. All right. Vice Mayor?
Again, because of that, I'm just really not,
Okay.
I don't support taking that money out of that budget. I think we should leave it as it is, unless somebody comes up with a really good reason to change my mind.
Is that the sense of the council then on this? Leave it as it is for the time being? I'm not hearing any objection. I know that you would like to do something different.
Well, I'm asking them because I brought this up during strategic plan, and the conversation was, well, let's discuss it at another time. So now I'm bringing it up again, and the conversation is, let's discuss it at another time. When going back to the contract with the company, I think it's worth having a conversation. I'm not quite sure if they're at that point yet where they've started looking at artists to do that.
They absolutely have.
Okay.
yes.
The other part is, I'm not saying removing art from the project, I'm saying is just putting different in, because again, I have a hard time when we talk about this as the financial situation that we're in right now, and these are some things that we can still appreciate art, it's just doing it in a different way.
Okay. Councilman Valentes?
I do have one more question for Chris, though, before we leave, so.
Sorry, Chris. So my understanding is, okay, this is a contract, and this is a part of the contract, and part of the contract is for art and public places.
Yes,
And that's what we agreed to with these people.
that is correct.
Okay, and we apparently have discretion to, change that, like you said, that if they've started something already and we've contracted with them, we have the ability to just decide, okay, art and public places, let's take that out. Something else, we want to take that out.
Any element of the contract, we have the ability to change. We will have to pay them for the portion that they did do, and yes, and then.
Okay. So my thought is I agree with the vice mayor, leave it in now, but I'm not opposed to discussing it.
And it will come, we'll have to pay a certain amount of money to develop a concept that will be brought to you for approval. So,
Okay, all right.
before it's actually constructed, so
Councilwoman Samuels?
there will be another opportunity.
So if I understand correctly, is what you're saying is wait until they bring the art project to us and then say, no, we don't want it?
No, I think if the majority of the council wants to take that $90,000 out now, because we know he's going to keep 10, that $90,000 out, less whatever he spent on labor to date, we need to ask the contractor as soon as possible, because he will be continuing to work on this. So we need to ask, so I would need direction like tonight or next Thursday to negotiate taking that out of his scope of work. And whatever cost he tells us he's got the date, then he's got the date, and then we will not do that. But we have an ordinance, too, that says we will have public art out there, and it will be at this cost. So I don't know how we get around that. I don't know if we give ourselves a variance. I don't even know if we have the ability to do that. But we have to spend this based on our ordinance on this project for the vertical construction.
Okay.
Oh, there's Mitty.
Councilwoman
She's a
Rodesky?
lawyer, she knows.
Do you want me to speak first?
Yes, please.
Oh, you want me
No,
to speak?
go ahead. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ray. That's what I was just going to suggest is what I'm hearing suggestive of maybe a broader policy change. So do keep in mind that your ordinance does require for capital projects the art in public places. That $100,000 that's a maximum amount of money based on the valuation of the project, and it doesn't exclude other art sources. But I would, like Ray said, getting around the ordinance now, I'm not sure that that's 100% possible. Changing how the money is allocated and changing what amount of art is installed is certainly a conversation that can be had, but you can't go around your ordinance as it exists today, is the only thing I would caution council.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Rodesky?
Thank you. Art in public places is very important. It brings the beautification to our village. It fulfills the aesthetically pleasing part of our mission. And I'm not willing to make the change right now about changing structure versus activities. It doesn't seem to be a cost savings anyway. You're shifting from a thing to activities, so I don't think there's a savings there. Secondarily, I'm not interested in looking at changing the ordinance as well. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I agree with Councilwoman Badesky. That's where I'm at, exactly the same place.
Okay. Councilwoman Samuels?
All right, so if there's a way that you can speak to the contractor to find out where he is in the process before.
I would need 3 of you to tell us to talk to the contractor.
I'm just asking, okay, so could staff talk to the contractor to find out where they are in the process of art in public places for this particular project?
So let me propose this. The village manager just said we could talk about this and decide finally, having had a conversation that would be more substantial than what we're trying to do here on the fly, next Thursday. So why don't we agree to take it up one more time so that we have a good, complete understanding of what is and what is not the impact of what's being proposed here. I do know myself from having worked many, many contracts for the federal government for many, many years, taking things out of a contract usually does not work out well, period. if we didn't want to have that in there, we shouldn't have put it in there. So I'm a bit reluctant, but I'm also open to hear the possibilities here. So I think maybe the best thing to do is to postpone this until the, what is it, the 16th, July 16th. So if everybody's okay with that, that's what we'll do.
Is that, so?
All right, thank you.
We'll just,
So
because
what
I have-
else? Councilwoman Samuels.
Just for clarification, are we directing staff to clarify with the contractor so he can bring it back to the meeting on Thursday? Or are we ending the conversation, we'll bring it back up on Thursday?
So my intent is to get some more information from all of the sources that are meaningful in this conversation. And then during the next week, between this Thursday and next Thursday, be in a position to better understand the ramifications of what we're talking about here, and the benefits as well. So I am open to that, and that's what I would propose that we do at this point. Okay?
Okay, and then I do have
good?
one more question for Chris then, when we were talking about the cul-de-sac. If there's an opportunity to use artificial turf there instead of the rocks, there's still maintenance with the rocks and everything, but since we are doing with the contract with artificial turf, and we do have that now, if it's an opportunity to do that versus the rocks, just.
The artificial.
For the cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
So they're driving on the cul-de-sac?
People, they park on them.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the council? From Mr. Marsh?
Thank
No.
you, Mr. Mark.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
As always. Great job. Thank you. All right. So that brings us to the end of the written regular agenda. I have a couple of closing remarks. First of all, I want to thank the village manager, finance director, department directors, and every member of the staff for the tremendous effort that went into putting together this fantastic booklet of information. The backup material is incredible. And for those of us who are inclined to spend the time to understand and to look at and then ask questions, I think it provides us with a better conversation about the budget going forward. So thank you for that. It is much appreciated. I want to remind everyone, especially residents, anybody who's still listening, that the purpose of tonight's workshop has been to receive information, to ask questions, and provide policy guidance, and that's actually for all of us. Not to make budget decisions tonight, but those decisions will begin July the 16th as we determine what the maximum 2027 ad valorem tax rate is next Thursday. That being said, Mr. Manager, based upon tonight's discussion, is there any additional policy guidance you believe the staff needs from the council before preparing next week's budget?
That it would be nice to get a consensus on or actually unanimous consensus on the 2.15. And if that's what all five of you, the direction all five of you want to go, then that's what we will advertise tomorrow, or we post our agenda tomorrow, and that's what we will put in the agenda. We have to write the agenda item. The agenda item has to include the maximum millage rate that you're voting on next Thursday. So if five of you are willing to vote on the 2.15, then that would be the millage rate and the budget that we will go forward with. If five of you are not okay with the 2.15, then now I have a shortfall. I have a budget that doesn't meet state law, and it's not a balanced budget. So if we don't do the 2.15, we say we do the 1.92, which was our current rate, that would take four of you, and I would need to make up $276,000, which can come from increased fees, which I have identified approximately $500,000 in increased fees we could do. I've identified cuts that we could do to the tune of to cover the 276. It would be less mowing, reducing our mowing schedule by 25%, and doing several other things, less printing, less. it's tough to get there. It's tough to get to the 276. And obviously the other, with cutting things, because as you see, all the departments, unless we change their level of service considerably, mowing is an easy contract to change. And we told all our contractors if we don't get the funding to do it, that we'll renegotiate their contracts, and we would renegotiate them to mow less frequently than we do now. When you look at all the other things that possibly in the budget, you're looking at, to come up with the 417, I'm looking at scholarships, not hosting lunches like League of Cities, the managers, the clerks, no out-of-state training, no Facebook ads, no strategic planning consultant, only once a year maybe, community connection printing, town crier magazine, gift cards, employee luncheon, retirement events, interns, not paying for interns, planning and zoning consultant, and then the village mowing. And I could get the 276 with all that. It's pretty tough. The only other thing I could really do differently, well, that's one way. The other way is fees. I gave you fees within the building department, planning department, parks and rec, that we can make up the 276, or we could transfer from reserves and balance the budget. But I have to advertise I have to know a balanced budget to go forward.
Okay, all right. Councilman Valentes.
Yeah, I because of the ballot initiative in November and basically the uncertainty that's out there, this is a big issue, and my suggestion would be I want to keep the millage rate the same way it is, and although I disagree with the former mayor about, well, use the reserves until they run out. I disagree with that. I don't think that's fiscally responsible. However, in this case, I think that's a reasonable one-year fix to address, because we could be looking at an entirely different situation next year. And that gives me concerns. And as the village manager raised up, you know what? Depending on the situation we're in next year, fees might have to be a major way of us to be able to fund this budget. So my suggestion is stay at the 1.92 millage rate.
And to use the reserves?
And to use the reserves to, I approve of the budget. I agree with the budget that was set forth, but whatever shortfall, and I would suggest using that from the reserves, number one, and then looking at the fees to possibly supplement that. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
Everything that was explained to us during the strategic plan and everything that's been given to us before this budget meeting, all the data and with everything concerned, especially the way things are going to Tallahassee, even with the issue coming up in December. I am that person who believes in dealing with issues head on and not putting off what the inevitable is, and it could be worse if we put it off. So I am in support of the 2.15 millage rate.
Okay. Councilwoman Brodesky.
Thank you. I went back and looked at the Citizen Summit, and for 2 years in a row, we asked the residents what they thought of the tax increase. And in 2025, 71% said, absolutely, we are okay with it. We love the level of service. We love here in Royal Palm Beach, and we are willing to pay the extra. In this year, 2026, it was 91%. And so I have a hard time saying that we're going to stick to 1.92 and either erode the services or start nickeling and diming to make up for the shortfall. Now, if the average homeowner is going to pay an extra $50, $60, as our wonderful finance director alluded to, per year, that's a whole lot easier to stomach than understanding I'm going to have to pay extra for all the other things that we could apply taxes to, or fees, or assessments. I'd rather pay that one time, be done with it, and be able to explain that to the residents who said, we'd rather have an increase now versus nickeling and diming later or eroding services. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Samios.
So it's 2.15 for you?
Fine for me.
So with government, in my short lifespan, has always done a tax increase to make up for a shortfall. I do appreciate that each department has gone through and has very strategically planned their budget and has done some trimming. I think the village council budget has not been trimmed at all. So I am very hard pressed to say, let's increase the millage rate if we, as the five of us, have not done anything to cut our budget as we've asked staff to do. I think it is realistic that we've had our millage rate at 1.92 since 1995. I think with prices going up and fees going up, that we've absorbed that expense. To make our programs affordable, we have absorbed the expense so that others can benefit. I think there's some we've discussed as far as resident fee versus non-resident fee, and I think there's a discrepancy there that needs to be looked at, because I don't think some of those fees are correct. But unless the five of us agree to trim our budget as all the other departments have, I have a hard time saying to the residents, let's go ahead and raise the millage rate, because we're not willing to sacrifice a little. So looking at it long term, it is very difficult to say to keep it at the 1.92. I'm not a fan of depleting our reserves for it, because there's a time where we actually will need it and we won't have those funds available. But again, I ask my fellow council members to revisit their budget and see what we can do. So at least in good faith, we are trying to do what's best for all of our residents.
So what's your answer?
So let me see if I understand. Then is your position that 1.92 ought to be our tax?
I can fully see moving it to 2.15, but I'm not willing to vote for that unless the five of us can do something to also prove that we are strapping things up as well.
Okay. So without me having to say anything at this particular point, we're at a point where we need to keep talking. Because as I understand the requirements then to adjust millage rates, in order for us to adopt 1.92 even, we need a supermajority. Is that right?
That is correct.
To adopt a 2.15, all five of us have to agree.
That is correct. You have to do supermajority to go above rollback.
And
more than 10% above rollback, you have to have unanimous.
okay. So let me ask a question then.
You can go to 2.0082.
With a supermajority?
How many is that?
It's not a great reason in my mind to go to that number, quite frankly. I have a sense of what the basis of estimate was to get to the numbers, the two that we've talked about. We know 1.92, we've had it for 15 years, 14 years, and we understand pretty well what the 2.15 basis was. That is something that we can put on the table, 2.00.
Well, I don't know that 2.00 gets you, from what I'm hearing, it won't get you a supermajority. So I think we're maxed out at 1.92.
So
I think the average is 1.92, and I think we balanced the budget with a combination of the fee changes and reserves.
okay, so right now, if I were to go along with the 1.92, and I have another thought that I want to bring up anyway. If I was to go along with that, we still don't have a supermajority from what I'm hearing, because I have two members of the council who believe that 2.15 is the way we ought to proceed. So again, we need to kind of keep talking, because we need to give the direction to the village manager and the staff to be able to proceed to next week, and actually tomorrow.
You have to vote on a budget. we have to send a maximum millage rate to the property appraiser by next week. So you have to vote on something. And if it's only 3 you vote, it's 1.8. It's 1.8. It's the rollback. If you only have a majority, the 3 of you, it's going to be 1.8256. It'll be the rollback. For 3, you still have to vote on it. 1.92 for 4 of you, 1.8256 for 3
So
of you.
1.92 if 4 of us vote yes.
That is correct. That's what
1.92 if 4
and
of
what
us
we
vote
what
yes.
we advertise tomorrow and what we vote on next week is the maximum you can go. Is the maximum you can go. You can't go more. You can go less, but you can't go more.
So that's a very good point. And indeed, that is one of the things that I was going to mention, is that we can go lower between now and next week. I mean, we can drop it. Actually, we can do that all the way to the time that we approve the budget, right?
No.
I mean, not practical.
The
I mean,
committee's there, that's probably true.
Mitty, can you hear us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can. So the important, as you say, next week you're adopting your tentative millage rate. That number, what you do next week, you cannot go above. So if you have on your agenda for next week 1.9200, after next week's meeting at your final budget hearings, your 2 budget hearings in September, you cannot go higher than that 1.9200. In the alternative, if next week's meeting you put the higher number, 2.1500, at your subsequent September meetings, you can go lower, but again, not higher.
But he still has to vote next week on the 2.15.
Right, but what that gives us
Correct. That's a tentative vote. So technically, the unanimous and the majority votes are not required at next week's meeting. They are required at your September hearings. But they're suggestive next week. If you don't have the requisite votes, then you will likely have an issue in September.
So then, I'm sorry, can I ask?
let me go to.
Thank you, but it was actually a response to Councilwoman Samios. Absolutely. I'm happy to look at our village council budget and see if we can make some cuts.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor?
I was thinking what Mitty said. So if we said 2.15 and then we ended up going lower, that will work. But if we say 1.92, then we can't go higher. So it makes sense to go ahead and say, in my world, to say 2.15, and we can always go lower. That's what I was thinking.
Once again, to do 2.15 as the millage rate, all 5 of us had to agree. Is that correct, Mitty?
You have to agree on the budget, and they have to agree next week?
Not next week, Mr. Mayor. Next week is just your tentative meeting on July 16th. The unanimous votes are required at your September budget hearings, the actual adoptions.
I did not understand that.
So you can say 2.15,
okay.
and then we have time to come to that agreement after we look at the budget.
I did not understand. I thought you were locked in there for the next week, but she's saying whatever you tell us next week, that's what your maximum number you're locked in for the public hearings. So it can be lower at your public hearings.
So come September 10th and 17th, we could actually lower it at those meetings,
That is correct.
which from a practical point of view and a budget presentation point of view, I would expect then that the staff would have a budget for that, which is stated as the tentative, and then more than likely we'd be talking about 1.92 as the alternative, having budgets for both for us to consider. It's a very interesting notion because we're going to be sitting up here having this conversation. It sounds like we're going to be looking at 2 budgets.
I mean, the budgets just have to be electronic. We don't have to print the 2 budgets. We have to just post the 2 budgets.
Okay.
Or post the 1 budget. We don't have to.
Okay, Councilman Valentes?
I have a question for Mitty. So if if this went forward with either the 2.1 or the lower number, when the final budget decision is made in September, as I believe the village manager indicated, and I think you mentioned, I just want to make sure it's straight in my mind, if you go up to the 2.15, it still has to be a 5-0 vote.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And then what about if it's the, what was the in-between number, Ray?
2.0082 was
The
the
2
max,
point-
was the maximum you could go with 4 votes.
Supermajority, right?
Okay, so that could be 4-1. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so where are we right now? The last thing I wrote down, well, I guess I could, no, I can't. So we need 4 of us to agree on a number. And
I'm going to bring, what I'm hearing now, I'm going to bring you 2.15 next week, and whatever, and if the majority vote to send that off to the property appraiser, that's what we're going to do.
and again, it's tentative,
It's tentative.
and it can be lower.
It can be lowered.
Okay? Councilwoman Brodowski.
Thank you. Councilman Valentis's concern is about property tax and whether it's going to be on the ballot or not, or whether it's going to go through. Ray, can you share some insight into what that could look like? And we still have to balance a budget regardless of what happens there. So the compounding problem, if we wait, and what are we looking at in terms of making up that shortfall?
So I spend a lot of time on Facebook reading the comments, even writing some comments, and just to see how people are reacting out there. And I did learn that, I probably already knew this, that Facebook doesn't care about my facts, and but they want me to care about their feelings. I get that. So one of the words I kept seeing out there is a reset. You know, for people, well, we've been charged a lot in taxes. Our taxes have gone up considerably over the last 4 years. This is a reset, and it's all good, and I'm voting for it for a reset. As I explained to you earlier, we've gone up 1.8% a year for the last 20 years on average. We have not done that. We have held the line on costs and provided consistent services over the last 20 years. The Save Our Homes has up to a $250,000 exemption. And it's different for every city. Every city gets affected differently. We have 412 cities in Florida. Probably half of them it might bankrupt. And the other half of them will be fine and will have options. For example, Manalapan and Palm Beach, all they have to do is adjust their millage rate 2%, and they're financially neutral. For us, we lose 41% of our homes are homesteaded. We have 15,000 parcels in the village. We have 14,000 residential units. We have 10,000 homestead properties. 10,000 of the 14,000 are homestead. 5,600 of them have less than a $250,000 value. So more than half of our homestead properties will not have to pay the taxes to us anymore. So we'll lose $4 million, $5 million total on that exemption, $4 million net from the 50,000 they already have. That is significant, and that's like I said, we're bringing in tonight. We saw $9 million. We would lose $4. And the only way we can make up the taxes is to raise the millage rate. Now we have enough rate left before we get to 10 million, or 10 mills, I mean. And so we could go to 3.14, we could be financially neutral. So that's one option. Another option is reducing costs. We would have to significantly change the way we do business and what we're doing and what we're offering. And things that are costing us a lot of money to offer, we would have to stop doing that. We would definitely have to change our mowing schedule from 39 mows a year to 30. The other way we can do it is increase our tax base without increasing our costs. Not necessarily easy to do, but we've been successful a little bit at doing that because of the development and the value of our real estate here in Royal Palm Beach. As we've seen in the police reports, the number of calls have gone down, not up, even though our population has been going up. So when you look at, for that, you got to look at the development potential. We have two very large parcels out there that are not developed. The Pod 6 at Tuttle Royale, or whatever it's going to be called in the future, and the 55 acres at the corner of State Road 7 and State Road 80. Each of them have the potential of bringing, if they're fully developed and with mixed-use development, they could bring $1 million of revenue each. So that would make up half of the loss. We don't get to control the development of those parcels and when they come. So that would be a wait and see, and what you do in between, I don't know. The only way we could control increase in the tax base and doing a good dent on the cost of our expenditures is to get rid of property. We have 7 parcels out there that we could easily develop on, sell to developers, put a land use designation on them, and sell them, and have them developed. Let's say anywhere from single family to apartments, and that would increase the tax because there's a demand for residential, and they could develop pretty quickly, and we could build that tax base. That tax base, the maximum it can get us, if we did that, would be just under $1 million. So 25% but it's a significant change to what Royal Palm Beach has done and is doing because it's parkland. I mean, it's future parkland, or parks that are currently open. I mean, H.L. Johnson, north of H.L. Johnson, there's a 8.5 acre site. You could get 20 homes on there and create that tax base. The rec center has 25 acres of undeveloped land just south of it. It's a wooded area there. We have a bike path in there. You could easily put 55 to 60 residential units in there and increase your tax base. Commons Park has 70 acres that is not part of the Commons Park proper. It does have the golf course and the driving range, and it's got that vacant land south of the Field Operations Center that comes out to Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. That's 70 acres. You could get almost 1,000 units in there at our highest density of 14 units an acre. Trailhead Park is 6 acres on Okeechobee Boulevard, could be townhomes, about 45 units. Willows Park, or not Willows, Wetland Parks over on Crestwood Boulevard is 10 acres, 130 units. Commons, well, the front of Commons, the parking lot, I separated the 70 acres from the parking lot that you go into the south of it, is 8.5 acres and could handle 120 units. And then the last one, which reduces your costs by $1.2 million, would be getting rid of the cultural center, and saving that $1.2 million and developing parkland or apartments on that site. That is extremely drastic, but that is what cities are going to do to survive going forward if this passes. I'm not saying we'll do that. We have options. We're still under the 10 mil cap. We can raise our tax rate, and we could considerably change the way we provide service. And that's just talking about the easy things to do. I mean, there's other things that we could do that are considerably harder, and that's how much we want to pay for security. But everybody's going to have to face these. If this goes through, I mean, our ad valorem tax base is our funding. And if 60% of the people vote for it, we'll have no choice but to balance the budget, because that is a requirement that we have. We have to balance it. We're in such a better position than everybody else, because we still do have that 171% reserves, including the 25%. So we have time to deal with that. But that is drastic. That is extremely drastic. But you got to either increase your millage rate, increase your tax base, or reduce your costs. And all of them would be on the table. $500,000 we spent on major events at Commons Park. I don't know how you do that going forward. I just don't know how you do that.
Okay, thank you. Helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Not hopeful, but helpful.
Hopeful, yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah, not hopeful.
Absolutely. And just to add to it, from a resident's point of view, while we have control only over our budget. The county does provide services to us. And so there's a substantial impact on us here in Royal Palm Beach of services that will be impacted in one way or another at county level as well. So while we want to share information, not advocacy, but information with our residents about this, there is that additional piece also that will be impacted severely. And as you just said, it is a reset. Thank you.
I'd say one more thing, because I think it is important, the hierarchy of what we have to pay for and what we have to do, continue doing going forward. We don't have a choice to have a council. We have to have a council. We're a government. We have to have administration. We have to have insurance. We have to maintain what we own, our roads. We can't give, there's no one to give them to. So those 900 streetlights, all that drainage system, all those roadway systems, you have to use whatever tax base you have to maintain those. Could we come up with other ways of funding that through assessments, special assessments, things like that? Yeah, and I think people are going to have those conversations. What we don't have to have is beautification. What we don't have to have is parks. No one mandates that. No one mandates that police or fire. No one mandates code enforcement. But when we put 42,000 people in 12 square miles, boy, you better have that.
So interestingly enough, council is mandated.
Council and maintaining everything you own, and you can't sell your roads. You can't sell your drainage and you can't sell your roads.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business before the council tonight? Not seeing any. I want to thank everybody for their patience and endurance and for the good work. So thank you very much. Thank you especially, Ray and the staff for all the work they did. No kidding. I mean, it was the best package I've seen, and I do appreciate that. So more work to be done, but thank you. Have a great night. Meeting adjourned.